please.
Hello, welcome everyone. I will introduce the agenda and speak briefly on the focus of the webinar. And I welcome all participants, excellencies, ambassadors, honored guests, experts, ladies and gentlemen, and friends. I wish to welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Stephen Brower. I will be your moderator for today's event. I am the Vice Chairman of the Belt and Road Institute in Sweden, and together with my colleague Hussein Askari, we are responsible for organizing this important event on the BRI, the Belt and Road, and Xinjiang Autonomous Uyghur Region in China. The meeting is being held simultaneously here in Stockholm and in Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang Autonomous Uyghur Region. And we are happy to welcome the representatives from Xinjiang who are here with us. We will also have opening remarks by Ambassador Gui Congyou, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Sweden, followed by a keynote speech by Ms. Zhu Yong, the Deputy Director General of the Department of Commerce of Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. And there will follow a 5-minute video about Xinjiang. We will also have statements from the esteemed ambassadors to Sweden from nations actively involved in the Belt and Road Initiative, namely Pakistan, Ambassador Zahur, and from Belarus, Ambassador Mironchik. This will be followed by a presentation by experts and economists in Europe and Asia with direct experience in Xinjiang, China, and the Belt and Road. And then we will have a question and answer session starting with statements by some commentators who will be participating. And if you have a question, you are welcome to post it on the chat function or to raise your hand. This webinar will actually continue until 2, which should give us ample time to address the issues that are presented in the discussion. The Belt and Road Institute in Sweden was established in 2018 with the purpose of providing accurate and truthful information about the Belt and Road Initiative, primarily in Sweden and the other Scandinavian countries. We have already held several very successful events, the latest one being on the BRI and CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which was on April 28th, 2021. Our work continues, but if anything, it has taken on a larger international significance. And as I have said earlier, our task is today to provide truthful and accurate information on this topic, and our list of speakers will help to do exactly that. So I want to make just several brief remarks in preparation for the discussion and the presentations. The BRI is a global initiative was introduced by China's President Xi Jinping in 2013 for global development and cooperation. It was initiated by China. However, the idea is not that China should control and steer it by itself. It is open to all nations, of which 140 countries have already agreed to cooperate. And it is our view that Sweden, in the Belt and Road Institute, that Sweden, the European Union countries, as well as the United States, should join and do the same. This would mean a multipolar world order in which sovereign nations can partake in the great task of human progress through technological development and the elimination of poverty. That road is a far more sensible road to follow than a unipolar world premised on dominance, superiority, and arrogance, an alternative that eventually leads to conflict, destabilization, and even potentially war. The BRI is a pathway to a better future for mankind. It's not problem-free, but nonetheless a direction like the UN Charter of International Law and respect for the sovereignty of nations. Attempting to impose Western values on the rest of the world will simply not work. The strategic importance of Xinjiang Autonomous Uyghur Region is its crucial significance as the westernmost region in China, whose stability and development provides the link for the BRI into Central Asia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and eventually into Southwest Asia and Eastern and Western Europe. With the recent developments marking the end of Western military engagement in Afghanistan, the opportunity for stability through economic development in the BRI is a far better choice for the future. And with that said, I would like to introduce our first speaker today, China's People's Republic of China Ambassador to Sweden, His Excellency Gui Congyou.
Thank you. 尊敬的主持人斯蒂芬先生，尊敬的新疆自治区有关部门负责人，尊敬的各位使节、各位专家朋友们，大家上午好。
Mr. Stephen Brawler, esteemed senior officials from the Xinjiang Autonomous Region, as well as experts, friends, your excellencies, good morning.
盛夏时节的新疆，花果飘香，游客如织，祥和繁荣。去过新疆的朋友们都会由衷的赞叹，新疆是个好地方。
At this time of the year, Xinjiang is at its most gorgeous. Tourists are attracted to the northwestern region of China and are amazed at its nature and hustle and bustle. What a wonderful land, they say.
但在过去很长一段时间，新疆饱受恐怖主义和极端思潮侵害，恐怖极端势力策划实施数千起暴恐案件，造成大量无辜平民伤亡。为根除恐怖主义威胁及其自身的土壤，中国政府依法严厉打击暴恐活动，并对受极端主义影响的人进行教育培训，使他们回归正常生活。
But for a long time, Xinjiang has suffered from terrorism and extremism. Thousands of violent attacks were conducted by terrorists and extremists that resulted in tremendous casualties. To address terrorism and its root, the Chinese government has been cracking down on terrorism and working to rehabilitate the people that were exposed to extremism through education.
经过巨大努力，新疆已经连续4年多没有发生暴恐事件，呈现稳定发展的良好局面。中国政府的治疆方略得到包括新疆在内全国各族人民的衷心拥护和大多数国家的理解支持。
Through these efforts, Xinjiang hasn't had a terrorist attack in over 4 years. Stability and development have returned to Xinjiang. The Chinese government's policies in Xinjiang have the support of the people of all ethnic groups in the region, as well as the understanding and support from the international community.
美欧一些国家的少数势力出于不可告人的政治目的，罔顾新疆越来越好，新疆人民生活越来越幸福的事实，不择手段、毫无底线的污名化、妖魔化新疆，甚至编造出种族灭绝等荒谬结论的世纪谎言。
Despite the fact that Xinjiang is getting better and people in Xinjiang are having a better life, some forces in the US and European countries would do everything to stigmatize and demonize Xinjiang by even inventing this century's biggest lies of genocide and crimes against humanity.
新疆的棉花像雪一样的洁白，上述势力却企图用他们肮脏的政治目的抹黑新疆棉花，但谎言终究是谎言。新疆前区棉花机剥率达到100%，机采率达到70%，荷兰强迫劳动。瑞士良好棉花发展协会声明，新疆没有发现一起强迫劳动。
Xinjiang's cotton is as pure as snow, but these forces wouldn't mind tainting it for their dirty political play. But lies are lies. In Xinjiang's cotton industry, where 100% of seed sowing and 70% of cotton picking is done by machines, how can there be forced labor? Switzerland's Better Cotton Initiative, or the BCI, also stated that not one single case of forced labor has been found in Xinjiang.
最新的全国人口普查结果表明，新疆地区常住人口较2010年全国人口普查增加了403.9万人，增长18.52%，高于全国平均水平13.14个百分点。维吾尔族人口增加162.3万人，增长16.2%。世界上哪有这样的种族灭绝？
China's latest national census shows a population growth of 4.03 million in Xinjiang compared with 2010, up 13.14%, and a growth of 1.623 million of Uyghur population, up by 16.2%. How is this genocide?
上述反华势力的真实意图根本不是保护人权，而是为了破坏新疆稳定、遏制中国发展。这种先作有罪推论，再去找甚至造证据的卑劣行径，令人不齿。这类祸乱新疆以将恶化的图谋，注定不会得逞。
What these anti-China forces care about is not human rights, but undermining Xinjiang's stability and China's development. It is in their playbook to act on the presumption of guilt, then to find or even invent evidence to fit their guilty China agenda. Their attempt to destabilize Xinjiang and contain China will not succeed.
上述无论反华势力如何处心积虑地上演什么样的反华闹剧，都阻挡不了中华民族走向伟大复兴的历史脚步。包括新疆在内的整个中国只会发展得越来越好。
No matter what kind of shenanigans they stage, the march of the Chinese nation towards a great renewal will not be stopped. Xinjiang and the entire China will only achieve greater development.
不久前，中国共产党隆重庆祝了100年华诞。100年来，中国共产党坚持全心全意为人民服务的根本宗旨，坚持一切为了人民，一切依靠人民，得到全中国人民最广泛的拥护和支持。从一个只有50多名党员的小党，发展成为如今拥有9500多万党员，在世界上人口最多的国家，长期执政的大党，实现了中国从站起来、富起来到强起来的伟大飞跃。
Not long ago, the CPC celebrated its 100th founding anniversary. Over the past 100 years, the CPC, with a commitment to rely on the people and serve the people, has received the most extensive support from the Chinese people. It grew from a small party of only 50 plus members to a party of over 95 million, a governing party of the most populous country in the world, leading the country to stand up and prosper.
习近平总书记着眼人类发展，深刻把握世界大势，提出构建人类命运共同体。“一带一路”建设作为承载时代使命的世纪工程，是构建人类命运共同体的伟大实践。
General Secretary Xi Jinping proposed the initiative of a community with a shared future for humankind, based on his vision of the trends of the world and humanity's development. The Belt and Road Initiative, better known as the BRI, as the century's major project, is a great practice to make a community with a shared future for humankind a reality.
我曾多次到访新疆，新疆处于欧亚大陆腹地，与哈萨克斯坦、巴基斯坦等8国接壤，是中国向西开放门户，在“一带一路”建设中具有得天独厚的优势。
I have visited Xinjiang on multiple occasions. I understand that Xinjiang is located at the backbone of the Eurasian continent. It borders 8 countries, including Kazakhstan and Pakistan, making the region China's door to its west, which gives it unique strength in the BRI.
近年来，新疆加快互联互通，完善基础设施建设，提升对外经贸合作水平，丝绸之路经济带核心区功能日益完善，正处于历史上发展最好、最稳定、最安定的时期。
Over the years, Xinjiang has been honing its interconnectivity, improving infrastructure, and developing trade with other countries. Xinjiang's position as a core area of the Silk Road economic belt is strengthened, and it is at the most stable, peaceful, and prosperous stage throughout history.
伴随“一带一路”建设深入推进，新疆的吸引力不断增强，越来越多的境内外企业选择在新疆安家，近200家世界500强、中国500强、行业100强企业落户新疆。
As the BRI continues to develop, Xinjiang is attracting a growing number of foreign companies. Nearly 200 companies of the world's top 500, China's top 500, and industry's top 100 have established presence in Xinjiang.
在中国共产党的领导下，新疆各族人民像石榴籽一样紧紧拥抱在一起，在建设美好新疆的壮丽征程上凝心聚力，阔步前行。
Thanks to the CPC leadership, the people of all ethnic groups in Xinjiang are tightly held together like pomegranate seeds, marching forward together in unity for a better Xinjiang.
新疆是开放发展的，我们诚挚欢迎外方朋友去新疆走一走、看一看，认识美丽的新疆，认识充满活力的新疆，也欢迎有志者去新疆学习、工作、生活。今天的视频交流会就是旨在为大家提供这样的机会。
Xinjiang is a land of open development. We sincerely welcome everyone to visit Xinjiang, talk to the folks there, and get to know Xinjiang for the wonderful place it is. We also welcome everyone that is interested to find opportunities to come to Xinjiang to study, work, and live. And that is what the seminar is for.
我预祝今天的交流会取得圆满成功。谢谢大家。Thank you very much.
Let me finish by wishing the webinar a great success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for those wise words. I will now would like to introduce the Miss Zhu Yong, the Deputy General from the Department of Commerce of Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, who will make some remarks and then show a 5-minute video for everyone here today. So you're welcome, Miss Zhu Wang.
尊敬的鲍尔先生，尊敬的贵大使，女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家上午好。
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, good afternoon.
非常高兴参
Ladies
加
and gentlemen, friends, good afternoon.
非常高兴参加由瑞典“一带一路”执行小组举办的“新疆是个好地方”丝绸之路门户网络视频研讨会。
Today, I'm very glad to attend this webinar held by the Belt and Road Executive Group of Sweden.
刚才鲍尔先生有一句话让我印象深刻，他说“一带一路”能让我们找到更好的世界。
Just now, the moderator has mentioned that the Belt and Road Initiative can lead us to a better world, which left me deeply impressed.
贵大使刚才在致辞中也说， 新疆在推进“一带一路”经贸合作方面具有得天独厚的优势。
Ambassador Gui also stressed the importance of the Belt and Road Initiative in pushing forward economic cooperation.
所以我非常荣幸能够就新疆的风土人情、经济社会发展、对外经贸合作和招商引资政策向大家做一个简要的介绍。
And therefore, I feel honored to present to you Xinjiang's custom and cultures, economic and social development, foreign trade and cooperation, and the policies for inviting outside investments.
虽然是一个简单的介绍，但是我想说的话很多，所以请大家保持耐心。
Well, it is a brief presentation, but there are a lot of words which I want to say, and therefore, please send me your patience for this.
首先，我想大家介绍新疆的风土人情。
First is the customs and cultures of Xinjiang.
新疆维吾尔自治区位于亚欧大陆的腹地，地处祖国的西北边陲，总面积166万多平方公里。约占全国陆地总面积的1/6。
Well, China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region is located at the heartland of the Eurasian continent and in the northwest China, with a total area of 1.66 million square kilometers, accounting for 1/6 of the total land area of China.
我们与周边8个国家接壤，陆地的边境线长5700多公里。约占全国陆地边境线的1/4。
It borders 8 countries with 5,700 kilometers in its border line, which accounts for 1/4 of that of the land borders lines in total.
那么新疆是中国面积最大、交界的邻国最多、陆地国界线最长的省级行政区。
And therefore, Xinjiang is the provincial level region with the largest area of land, the largest number of bordering countries, and the longest border lines in China.
我们新疆自古以来就是祖国不可分割的一部分。
Xinjiang has been an inalienable part of China for ages.
是一个多民族的聚居地区，有56个民族成分。
It is a multi-ethnic country with 56 ethnicities living in this region.
既是新疆各民族的家园，更是中华民族共同家园的组成部分。
Xinjiang is the homeland not of the different ethnicities in Xinjiang, but is also the common home to the Chinese nation.
新疆属于典型的温带大陆性干旱气候，光照时间长，昼夜温差大，为特色优势农产品种植提供了良好的自然条件。
Xinjiang has very typical temperate continental dry climate with long time of daylight and a sheer temperature difference within one day, and therefore it has favorable natural conditions for planting and growing special agricultural products.
像吐鲁番的葡萄、库尔勒的香梨、阿克苏的苹果、哈密瓜，这些呢，很多都进入了中欧农产品地理标志。
Let's say, for example, the grapes from Tuapan, the pears from Kurla, the honey melon and the apples from Aksu are all very famous both at home and abroad. They make Xinjiang home to fruits and melons.
所以新疆呢又有瓜果之乡的美誉。
And that is why Xinjiang is also called the home to fruits and melons.
那么新疆呢矿产种类也很全，储量大，发展的前景很广阔。
Xinjiang's minerals are complete in their types, large in their reserves, and bright in the prospect for future exploitation.
那么截止2019年底呢，我们发现的矿产有142种。占全国已发现矿种的82%。
Up until the end of 2019, we have discovered 142 types of minerals in Xinjiang, which is 82.08% that of the total type of minerals found in China.
还有煤炭、石油、天然气的储量也是居全国的前10位。
The reserves of coal, oil, and natural gas are among the top 10 in China.
新疆的旅游资源也特别丰富，开发潜力很大。
There are rich resources for tourism, and they have a huge potential for future development.
2013年，中国新疆天山列入了世界自然遗产。
In 2013, the Tian Shan Mountains in Xinjiang have been put into the World Natural Heritage.
像交河故城、楼兰故城遗址、克孜尔千佛洞都享誉中外。
The Jiaohe ruins, the ancient city of Lowland, the Kizil Thousand Buddha caves are famous both in China and in the world at large.
新疆的民族风情浓郁，各民族在文化艺术、体育、服饰、饮食习俗等方面都各有特色。
Xinjiang boasts abundant ethnic custom and cultures, and different ethnicities have special cultures, arts, sports, clothing, diets, and ways of life.
我们是有名的歌舞之乡，
While Xinjiang is called the home to singing and dancing,
维吾尔族的萨乃姆、刀郎舞、塔吉克族的英舞、蒙古族的沙乌尔登舞等民族舞蹈绚丽多姿。
the Uyghur people's Sanam and Dolang dance, the Tajik ethnicity's dance of eagles, and the Mongols' Shaoden dance are very wonderful.
截止去年底，全区有国家5A 级的景区16家。
Up until the end of 2020, Xinjiang has 16 national 5A rating scenic spots.
喀什市、吐鲁番市、伊犁市、特克孜县、库车市等5个城市被列为国家历史文化名城。
The Kashgar, Chuapan, Yining, Tekis, Kucha have been put into the national historical cultural cities.
接下来我想向大家介绍新疆的经济社会发展成就。
And now I will present to you the achievements in Xinjiang in terms of the socioeconomic development.
一是社会大局持续稳定向好。
First, we have maintained the overall stability of the society.
提起新疆，我们中国人都会说新疆是个好地方，
Speaking of Xinjiang, Chinese people always say that Xinjiang is a wonderful place.
但这块宝地在过去一个时期深受分裂势力、极端势力、暴力恐怖势力之害。
But this treasure land has been ravaged by the secessionist, extremist, and terrorist forces.
特别是在1990年到2016年间，三股势力在新疆策划并组织实施了数千起爆恐案件。
In particular, between 1990 to 2016, these three forces organized and plotted thousands of violent terrorist attacks.
造成大量无辜群众被害，财产损失无法估算。
Therefore, they claimed countless lives and innumerable economic losses.
面对严峻复杂的反恐形势和各族群众对平安稳定的迫切要求，我们高举社会主义法治旗帜，借鉴吸收国际社会反恐经验做法，坚持一手抓打击，一手抓预防，既依法严厉打击暴力恐怖犯罪，又重视开展源头治理。
While facing this severe situation of the counterterrorism and the people's urgent calls for peace and stability, we upheld the social rule of law and the drawn experiences by the international community on counterterrorism. We took both aggressive and preventive measures. Namely, as we severely combat the terrorist crimes, we also address the root causes of these issues.
那么，我们通过着力改善民生，加强法治宣传教育，依法设立职业技能教育培训中心，进行班服教育等多种方式，最大限度消除了滋生恐怖主义、宗教极端主义的土壤和条件。
We focus on improving people's lives, strengthening legal awareness, and setting up vocational colleges in accordance with law so as to help the people to improve their lives. In so doing, we have removed the soil and conditions that breed terrorism and religious extremism.
也最大限度地保障了各族群众的基本权利，免受恐怖主义、宗教极端主义的侵害。
In so doing, we have protected people's basic rights from terrorism and religious extremism.
刚才桂大使也说了，新疆已经连续4年多没有发生爆恐案件，实现了各族群众对平安稳定的渴望与期盼。
As stated by Ambassador Gui, now for 4 years in a row, there are no incidents of terrorist attacks in Xinjiang, and therefore we have responded to people's calls for peace and stability.
二是经济实现高质量发展。
Second, we have pursued high standard economic development.
我们坚持稳中求进工作总基调，保持了经济平稳健康发展，综合经济实力不断跃上新的台阶。
We sought progress while maintaining stability and kept the stable performance of our economy, and the overall economic competence has improved significantly.
那么今年一季度，新疆实现生产总值3402.5亿元，按可比价格计算是增长了12.1%。
In the first quarter of 2021, which is this year, Xinjiang has achieved an additional output of 34 million RMB, up by 12.1% adjusted to comparable prices.
城镇居民人均可支配收入增长7.2%。
The rural residents' disposable income increased by 7.2%.
农村居民人均可支配收入增长13%。
And the rural residents' disposable income increased by 13%.
我们坚持绿色发展理念，严禁3高项目进新疆，能耗和主要污染物排放量持续下降。
We follow the green development approach and seriously banned the projects with high pollution, high energy intensity, and high emission of pollutants in Xinjiang. And therefore, the energy intensity and the emission of major pollutants have been on decline continuously.
可以说，一个绿水青山、欣欣向荣的美丽新疆正展现在世人的面前。
Now, a beautiful and vibrant Xinjiang is being presented to the world.
三是城乡面貌发生了巨大的变化。
Third, we have delivered a sea change to the rural and urban landscapes.
这些年，我们持续加大有效投资，一大批交通、水利等重大基础设施项目建成投运。
Over the years, we have been stepping up the effective investments. Therefore, a number of transportation and water conservancy infrastructural projects have been put into operation.
有力支撑了经济社会的发展，也深刻改变了城乡的面貌。
They have supported our socio-economic development and delivered a sea change to our rural and urban landscapes.
我们着力构建立体化的交通体系。实现了江内缓起来，进出江快起来。
We have been facilitating a multidimensional transportation system and to ensure that the transportation both within Xinjiang and beyond Xinjiang can be accelerated and facilitated.
我想向大家分享一组数据。
And now I have some figures to share with you.
现在我们的铁路运营里程达到7437公里，通达全疆所有地州市。
And now the mileage of the railways have amounted to 7,437 kilometers, reaching all prefecture-level regions in Xinjiang.
我们首府乌鲁木齐市的地铁1号线已经建成投运，跨入了地铁时代。
Now the Metro Line 1 in Urumqi has been put into operation.
公路的通车里程21万公里，所有地州市都迈入了高速公路时代。
Now the mileage of the roads it has amounted to 210,000 kilometers, reaching all prefecture-level regions in Xinjiang.
近3/4的县市呢，都已经通高速公路。
And nearly 75% of the counties in Xinjiang now have highways.
我们的民用机场总数达到22个。
Now the number of civil airports is 22.
现在是位居全国各省区市的首位。
Which ranks the highest in China in this term.
可以说，我们的空中丝绸之路啊，初具了规模。
And therefore, our airborne Silk Road is now in the making.
我们加快水利基础设施的建设。
We've also accelerated development of water conservancy infrastructure.
现在全区水库的库容达到230亿立方米。
Now, all reservoirs in Xinjiang holds 23 billion cubic meters of water.
仅过去的5年就增加了35.6亿立方米。
In the past 5 years, the capacity has increased by 356 million cubic meters.
新增的高效节水灌溉面积呢，达到了1156万亩。
The effective irrigation system has covered an additional area of 7,706 square kilometers.
我们加速推进新型城镇化和新农村建设。
We have also been pursuing the new urbanization and the development of new villages.
乌鲁木齐、喀什等一批区域中心城市面貌日新月异。
Urumqi, Kashgar, and other sub-regional centers are now being developed by leaps and bounds.
5年累计建成了农村的安居工程
In the past,
116.98万户，城镇保障性住房129.36万套，改造城镇棚户区住房112.2万套。
in the past 5 years, we have built 1.2 million units of safe housing for rural areas, 1.3 million affordable housing units for the urban residents, and we have also renovated 1.1 million units of dilapidated buildings in urban areas.
这是个什么概念呢？一句话说，就是近千万的群众洗迁了新居。
Behind these figures, countless people have moved to new homes.
而且现在我们所有的行政村都实现了通硬化路、通客车、通动力电、通光纤宽带。
Now, all administrative villages in Xinjiang have access to solid roads, passenger buses, dynamic power, and fiber optic broadband.
四是脱贫攻坚取得了全面胜利。
Fourth, we have scored a complete victory in the battle against the poverty.
新疆呢，曾经是集中连片的特困地区。
Xinjiang was once with contiguous areas in poverty.
近年来，我们落实精准扶贫、精准脱贫的基本方略。
Over the years, we have been pursuing targeted approach to poverty alleviation.
发展产业扶持、就业扶持、生态补偿扶持、异地扶贫搬迁扶持、兜底保障。
We took several measures, including the development of industries, the promotion of employment, the compensation for ecological conservation, and the relocation of people from inhospitable areas, as well as the provision of the social safety net.
坚决打好精准脱贫的攻坚战，全力攻克深度贫困的堡垒。
By so doing, we cracked down on the hardcore poverty to win the battle against this hard issue.
目前呢，全区现行标准下306.49万农村贫困人口全面脱贫，3666个贫困村全部退出，35个贫困县全部摘帽。
At present, by the current standard, all the 3.1 million poor rural population, that means that now all the people are well fed, well clothed, and they also have abundant access to compulsory education, basic medical care, safe housing. In addition, the project of ensuring people's access to safe drinking water and safe housing has also been completed.
我们很自豪地说，新疆的千年绝对贫困问题得到了历史性的解决。
Now we speak with great pride that the thousands of years of historical issue of absolute poverty in Xinjiang has been solved.
五是人民生活明显改善。
Fifth, people's living standards have been improved significantly.
我们把人民利益放在最高位置，每年将一般公共财政预算支出的70%以上用于保障和改善民生。
Well, we have been giving top priority to people's interests and budget over 70% of the public spending for the improvements of people's livelihood.
全面推进了城乡教育一体化的发展，实现了学前教育、9年义务教育全覆盖，南疆15年免费教育全覆盖。
We have been pursuing the balanced development of rural and urban education and work to ensure that the preschool education and the 9-year compulsory education now cover all people in Xinjiang. In southern Xinjiang in particular, the 15-year free education now covers all pupils.
我们持续开展城乡居民免费的健康体检，实施农村户籍人口先诊疗、后付费和一站式的结算。 不断完善基本医保、大病保险、医疗救助3重医疗保障制度。
We have been providing free health checkups for rural and urban residents, and to work to ensure that the rural residents can enjoy the medical services and treatment before paying for the medical expenses, which can be then settled in a one-stop mechanism. In so doing, we have improved the medical safeguard system that comprises 3 parts: the basic medical insurance, the major illness insurance, and the medical assistance.
这样呢，就为各族群众构筑起了健康防线和兜底网。
And in so doing, we have built a line of defense for the health of the people and the safety net for the health of the people.
我们大力实施全民参保计划，基本医疗保险、大病保险参保率达到了99.71%。
We have also worked to ensure that all people can join our medical insurance schemes. And now the basic medical insurance, the major illness insurance, cover 99.71% of our people.
那么人身意外伤害保险呢，实现了全覆盖。城乡居民最低生活保障实现了应保尽保，各族群众的日子一天比一天好。
And now the accidental injury insurance has covered every single one of the people in Xinjiang. And the basic living standards of the residents, both in urban and rural areas, can be guaranteed. And people of all ethnicities are seeing continuous improvements in their daily lives.
六是民族团结呢，也更加巩固。
The ethnic unity has been cemented.
我们坚决落实民族区域自治制度，全力促进各民族的团结和繁荣发展。
Under a system of ethnic regional autonomy, we comprehensively implemented the party's ethnic policies and pursues prosperity and development for people of all ethnicities.
切实保障各族人民平等的参与管理国家事务的权利。自治区的主席、自治州的州长、自治县的县长均由实行区域自治民族的公民担任。
We guarantee all ethnic groups equal right to participation and administration of national affairs. The heads of the autonomous region are citizens from the ethnic groups exercising regional autonomy in the areas concerned.
我们深入开展民族团结一家亲和民族团结联谊的活动，全区有110多万名干部职工，与160多万户各族基层群众结对子、交朋友、认亲戚。
We have extensively carried out the Family of Ethnic Unity campaign and other programs for enhancing ethnic unity and solidarity. Some 1.1 million officials have paired up and made friends with 1.6 million local people, treating each other like family members. The campaign, with its real substantial benefits to the public, has been well received by the people of all ethnic groups.
办了许多得民顺民意的好事实事。
And the campaign, with its real substantial benefits to the public, has been well received by the people of all ethnic groups.
比如说，我的维吾尔族亲戚，他在微信上交流，就叫我美丽的姐姐。
Or to take me for example, the local villager that I actually have established the relative-like relationship actually called me dearly like my dear sister on the WeChat, where this is a platform that we can communicate.
七是宗教领域和睦和顺。
Religious harmony has been promoted.
我们全面贯彻宗教信仰自由政策，依法保障信教群众正常的宗教活动和宗教需求。
We have fully implemented the party's policies of freedom of religious belief and protected normal religious activities and demands of believers in accordance with the law.
宗教活动场所的条件持续改善，极大方便了信教的群众。
The conditions of venues for religious activities have been improved greatly in the region.
新疆呢，现在有伊斯兰教经学院和8所分院，还有伊斯兰教经文学校，这样一共是10所宗教的院校，每年招生近1000人。 形成了比较完善的伊斯兰教人才教育培养的体系。
Currently, there are 10 religious schools in Xinjiang, including the Xinjiang and the Islamic Scripture School, which recruit about 1,000 students every year with a complete Islamic talents education system.
我们翻译出版了汉文、维吾尔文、哈萨克文、柯尔克孜文这样4种文字的《古兰经》，还有布哈里圣训、实录精华等宗教经典的书籍，不断拓宽信教群众获得宗教知识的途径。
The Islamic classic, the Quran, and Isha al-Sari ili Shah Sahih al-Bukhari have been translated and published in Mandarin, Uyghur, Kazakh, Kyrgyz languages, expanding ways for Muslims to obtain religious knowledge.
第3方面呢，向大家介绍一下新疆丝绸之路核心区建设和对外经贸合作的情况。
The third major part, I will brief you about the building of Xinjiang as a core zone on the Silk Road economic belt and Xinjiang's foreign trade and economic relations.
新疆充分发挥独特的区位优势、资源优势、政策优势，积极融入国家向西开放的总体布局。
By leveraging its geographic, resource, and policy advantages, Xinjiang has been increasingly integrated into the nation's overall westward opening up drive.
加快推进一港两区5大中心口岸经济带的建设。
And the work related to the construction of the Urumqi International Land Port Area, Kashgar and Hogos economic zones, and the development of Xinjiang as a hub of the transportation hub and a center of commerce and logistics, medical service, culture, science and technology, and financial services has gathered momentum.
那么，持续的加强对外交流合作和开放发展，推进丝绸之路经济带核心区建设，取得了积极的成效。
The economic belt underpinned by the region's multiple border ports are making headway. Sustained efforts on strengthening external cooperation and opening up and the turning effort in turning Xinjiang into as the core zone of the Silk Road economic belt have produced positive results.
2014年到2020年，新疆累计开行中欧班列是4373列，年均增长65%。
Now, from 2014 to 2020, in the period of 5 years, that a total of 4,373 China-Europe freight trains have passed through the region to 26 cities in 19 Eurasian countries.
去年一年，仅去年一年我们就开行了，从新疆境内就开行了1105列。
And for the year of 2020, that we have made about 1,105 China or Europe-bound freight train services through Xinjiang or out of Xinjiang.
现在我们开行了23条线路，通达亚欧19个国家，26个城市。
Currently, the China-Europe freight train service actually operates on 23 routes to 26 cities in 19 countries in the Eurasian continent.
我们把中欧班列形象的叫钢铁驼队，可以说这个钢铁驼队为沿线各国的人民带去了看得见、摸得着的实惠。
A China-Europe freight train service actually is likened as a steel camel fleet, which actually delivers tangible benefits to people on the railway routes.
那么，作为中国对外开放的重要门户，新疆吸引的外资也越来越多。
As an important gateway for opening up of China, Xinjiang, a major hub of BRI and a key region under the strategy of developing China's Western region, has drawn in more foreign investments.
实际到资超过1000万美元的外资企业呢，就达35家。
We have registered over about 35 foreign-funded enterprises whose actual investment is about $10 million US each.
我们贯彻国家外商投资法，实施好外商投资准入前国民待遇加负面清单管理制度。
Consistent efforts have been made to implement the Foreign Investment Law of China and its supporting regulations and the management system combining pre-establishment, national treatment, and the negative list.
现在这个负面清单呢，已经进一步压缩到33条。
And the 2020 version of negative list for foreign investment within market access has been reduced to 33 items.
那么去年呢，新疆还出台了进一步做好利用外资工作的若干措施，提出了21条举措，来深化投资便利化的改革。
And Xinjiang also issued the regulations, its own regulations on foreign investment in 2020, proposing 21 measures underpinning opening up and reforming investment facilitation with an aim to continue creating a stable, open, transparent, and predictable business environment.
相信我们在我区的石油石化、装备制造还有新能源产业这方面，这是我区的优势领域。我们双方呢还有很大的合作空间来实现互利共赢。
I believe that the industries, for example, petrochemical, equipment making, and new energy industries, which are the Xinjiang's strength industries, these industries promise a broad room for mutually beneficial cooperation between us and the country you represent.
除了这个吸引外资以外，我们还加大招商引资的力度，这是为了主动的融入双循环的新发展格局。
And active measures have been taken to integrate Xinjiang into the new development paradigm featuring dual circulation.
去年1年呢，我们就引进区外的企业到位资金超过4000亿元人民币。
In 2020, according to our statistics, we have used actual investments from enterprises outside of Xinjiang, about 400 billion RMB yuan.
同比增长了16%。
Up 16.17% over the same period over 2019.
今年上半年呢，我们又保持了一个高增长的速度，引进区外企业到位资金呢2593亿元人民币。
For the first 6 months into the year, and we have used the actual investment. We have registered actual investment from enterprises out of Xinjiang to about 260 billion RMB yuan, up 58.24% over 2020.
为了今天的这样的一个交流会呢，我们特意去查了新疆与瑞典的贸易的规模。
And specifically for the webinar that we are holding today here, that we also look into the trade figures between Xinjiang and Sweden.
现在呢，这个规模是650万美元，其中出口313万美元，进口337万美元。应该说，新疆还是逆差。
Currently, the two-way trade between Xinjiang and Sweden stands at $6.5 million US, and in which 3.13 are imports and 3.37 are imports. So actually, Xinjiang is running deficit with the trade with Sweden.
出口呢，我们现在主要是玩具，还有金属家具。 进口呢，主要为电器和化工产品，都是双方的优势产品。
We majorly export toys and metal furnitures, and we import electric appliance and chemicals from Sweden.
我们觉得现在虽然规模不大，但是潜力很大，所以我们愿意与包括瑞典在内的北欧国家加强地方间的经贸领域的合作，来扩大贸易的规模。 丰富进出口的商品种类。
Yes, you can see that the trade volumes between Xinjiang and Sweden actually is not significant, but it promises potential for future development. And Xinjiang stands ready to work with the Nordic countries to expand our trade volumes even through third countries. And we believe that the size of the two-way trade between us will be rising.
在此呢，我想向大家分享一个我在调研中亲身经历的一个我们不断优化营商环境，欢迎大家来新疆投资发展的案例。
With this opportunity, I'd like to share with you an example which actually can demonstrate, the efforts we have made in improving our business environment and facilitate, and also, for the facilitation of foreign investment.
那么在去年疫情的期间啊，有一家沿海的电子企业到新疆来投资。虽然是疫情期间，但是呢，地方提供了非常好的便利化服务。这家企业从签约到进驻，到调试设备，到投产，仅历时56天。
It is clearly remembered, and during within the outbreak of the coronavirus last year, within an enterprise from the coastal areas of China, came to Xinjiang to make investment, and starting from the signing of the contract to the company going into production, it only took the company 56 days, thanks to the great facilitation provided by the province.
3年呢就实现了出口。
And during the same year that this company also actually started to export its products.
周边国家呢是新疆重要的经贸伙伴，我们在做大于他们规模的同时呢，也在把握 RCEP 协定带来的高质量发展的新机遇。
Xinjiang's neighboring countries are the major trade partners of this region. And while we are expanding our trade volumes with our neighboring countries, we are also benefiting from the RCEP opportunities for high quality opening up.
我们今年携手 RCEP 的成员国将要举办4场经贸合作的云对接活动。
And we will work with RCEP partners or member countries to hold about 4 webinars on trade and economic cooperation.
今天下午我们的第3场活动现在正在云上进行对接。
The third such within a cloud meeting is currently underway in this afternoon.
可以说呢，我们让新疆的优质的瓜果、棉花、番茄、辣椒等特色的产品加入了当地居民的购物车，也丰富了新疆人民的菜篮子、饭桌子。
Through these efforts that we actually have been or actually are marketing Xinjiang's quality products, including its fruits, cotton, tomato puree, as well as the chili products to the baskets of the people of the RCEP or neighboring trading partner countries. At the same time that Xinjiang people's life has also been enriched.
在最后呢，我还想向大家表达一下互利共赢的合作的这个愿景。
And the last section of my speech is about the cooperation that we can conduct in the future.
那么在14-5期间呢，新疆将立足打造我国内陆开放和沿边开放高地，加快建设丝绸之路经济带核心区。
During the 14th five-year plan, Xinjiang will spend no efforts in developing the region into a core zone of the Silk Road economic belt and a leading area in opening up in inland and border areas of China.
我刚才就说了，提到了1港2区5大中心口岸经济带，现在我想把它展开，稍微阐述一下。
I will provide you with more information about the development goal, which I actually mentioned a few minutes earlier by saying, developing the one land port, 2 economic zones, and the 5 centers and the land port economic belt.
一港呢，就是把乌鲁木齐国际陆港区打造成为核心区的标志性工程。
The one land port refers to Urumqi International Land Port Area. That will be an emblematic project of our endeavor.
两区呢，就是把喀什和霍尔果斯的经济开发区打造成核心区的南北2个重要支点。
The 2 economic zones refer to Kashgar and Horgos economic zone. These 2 economic zones are situated separately in northern and southern part of Xinjiang. These 2 economic zones are expected to perform an even bigger role in generating momentum for the opening up of this region.
5大中心呢，就是围绕商贸物流、交通枢纽、文化科教、医疗服务、区域金融中心来建设实施一批重大的基础设施、国际国内交流合作的项目。
At the same time, we are trying to develop Xinjiang into a transportation hub and a center of commerce, logistics, medical service, culture, science and technology, and financial service. Under these development programs, we will implement to build a batch of major infrastructure facility projects.
最后来推动新疆作为一个传统的通道经济，来向产业经济和口岸经济的转变。
And by doing so, that we actually can put more within features on the economy of this region, besides it acting as a major corridor.
那么在这样的一个核心区的建设当中，我相信我们双方都能找到很多的合作的点。
I believe that and that we actually can find more commonplace in cooperation while we are advancing these major development goals.
我们和北欧国家，包括与瑞典这样的国家，应该说是有一个很强的优势互补的。
Our economy and the economies of the Nordic countries are actually to some extent highly complementary.
北欧国家呢，社会经济发展水平高，人均 GDP 呢在5万美元以上，而且各国的工业高度发达，形成了独特的竞争优势。
The Scandinavian countries are actually high developed countries with per capita GDP reaching over about 50,000 US dollars. And each of these Scandinavian countries actually have not only highly developed industries, but also have its unique respective competitive industries.
比如说我们中国人民都家喻户晓的瑞典的汽车产业、服装产业，挪威的石油化工产业，丹麦的风力发电产业、生物制药产业，芬兰的通讯产业，冰岛的旅游产业，都是全球著名的。
For example, Sweden is world famous for its automobile and clothing industries, and Norway is famous for its petrochemical, and Denmark is for its wind turbine manufacturing and biological pharmaceutical industries, and Finland is has a strength in with the telecommunications as industries, and Iceland is very famous for its tourism.
那么回到今天的主题，我们希望呢以共建“一带一路”为契机，来进一步的加强新疆和北欧等相关国家地方政府间的沟通合作。
And coming back to the theme of today's webinar, that we hope that through the BRI cooperation, that Xinjiang can within strengthen its cooperation with Nordic countries, as well as the cooperation with the subnational governments of these Nordic countries.
我们相信合作的领域很广阔，包括经济、教育、文化和旅游。
I believe that we have broad areas for cooperation that should not be actually confined or limited to economy, education, culture, and tourism.
我们可以为市场主体搭建更多更好的交流的平台，营造更多更优的环境。
We actually can work together to create or build more preferable within platforms for enterprises.
那么大家在“一带一路”这个开放的机制里边得到互利共赢的发展。
So as to realize mutually beneficial development through this cooperation.
刚才桂大使也说了，百闻不如一见。我们欢迎大家都到新疆来走一走、看一看。
As said by Ambassador Gui, that seeing is believing, that you are most welcome to pay a visit to Xinjiang.
一个社会稳定、经济发展、民族团结、宗教和谐、各族群众安居乐业的大美新疆，在等待着大家。
To witness by yourself stable, economically developing, and ethnically unified and within a beautiful Xinjiang is waiting for you, which is stable and prosperous economically and religious harmony, and within ethnic and people are united, as well as the area that people have a contented and happy life.
再次感谢大家的耐心。
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zhu, for a thorough and comprehensive picture of the situation in Xinjiang. And we understand that it's very important, even if we don't have the possibility of directly publishing this in the largest part of the Swedish media. We will continue to put out this video in order to identify for the Swedish population in Scandinavia the real picture which you have gone through in this in your remarks. So thank you very much. There are several other officials from Xinjiang who are together with us, and they are we welcome the possibility to make questions, to pose questions, which will be available at a later point in the webinar. For the moment, I would like to invite Ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Zahur from Pakistan to address us. He has been actively working, as I mentioned, with the collaboration on a webinar on the 28th of April, in which we made a rather comprehensive picture of the China-Pakistan economic corridor. And I welcome you, Ambassador. Please, you have the floor, and I understand you have some time limits, so you're welcome. Somebody has to unmute him.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me here. And I enjoyed the very informative conversation that we've had so far. I look forward to hearing further from people who are working in Xinjiang and who are contributing towards the development of Xinjiang during the course of this webinar. As you mentioned, Pakistan is a neighbor of China, but we are also a neighbor of the autonomous region of Xinjiang, and we are connected to the Chinese economy through the Xinjiang province. I would like to talk a little bit about the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and how important it is for the development of Pakistan's economy. And
the video, we forgot of it, but you can say after the statements of the ambassadors, we show the video from Xinjiang.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay, can I continue? Hello. Can I continue? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. I would like to take this opportunity to say a few words about the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which, as you mentioned, is an important part of the Belt and Road Initiative. Pakistan has been part of the Belt and Road Initiative, and we believe that this initiative has contributed towards the development of Pakistan, to the development of the various regions of Pakistan over the course of years. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is a mega project which we undertook with Chinese assistance and Chinese expertise. And this allowed us to focus on the two major bottlenecks of our economy. And these at that time were the energy deficit and the infrastructure deficit. And by and large, we are still continuing to work on addressing these deficits. But we are now also focusing on how to use this infrastructure and this availability of energy to attract investment from other parts of the world. This has been a win-win project for both countries. And now we are at a stage where we have developed special economic zones across the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. There are 9 special economic zones all over Pakistan, which are in various stages of development. And these are, there are several features which I think are very interesting. And I will just like to mention a few of them. First of all, it is, they are scattered all over the country. So we have, like different countries in the world, we have also regions which are relatively less developed than the other parts of the country. And through these special economic zones, we wanted to bring these provinces, these areas also at the same development level. Because the major focus of our economy, the major focus of our foreign policy is poverty alleviation. And that is where the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, these special economic zones, play a vital role. In these special economic zones, we have them in Gwadar, which is part of Balochistan. We have in Faisalabad, which is our, historically, it's our textile hub, which is the backbone of our economy. We have them in Peshawar, which is in the northwest province. And so it is all over Pakistan, and all of them have one window opportunity. So when you go to these special economic zones as an investor, there is end-to-end services provided there. The second thing which I would like to highlight, and which I think is very important from the context of my work here, is that these special economic zones are open to investment from all countries of the world. And here I believe that we have a great opportunity for Swedish companies. Sweden has progressed, and as you mentioned, it's one of the highly developed economies of the world, and it has progressed because of being a knowledge-based economy. And it has progressed because it has always supported free trade. It has always supported win-win development between different countries. And this is where I think it is an attractive opportunity for Swedish companies who can invest in these special economic zones and become our development partners there. So with this, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I wish you best of luck for the rest of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We appreciate your input and your contribution. I understand you might, because of other commitments, not be able to remain with us during the whole webinar. But if possible, if you are able to either come back or stay with us a bit longer, we're very grateful. But thank you so much for your insightful remarks about developments in Pakistan in relation to the BRI in Xinjiang. Now I would like to also introduce Ambassador His Excellency Mironchek from Belarus, who will be giving us some insights into the situation in Belarus, especially in light of the importance of Belarus as a link in to Europe with the Belt and Road Initiative. We are grateful for your input in this, and you're welcome, Ambassador, to present your remarks to us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Brower. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank our host, the Belt and Road Institute in Sweden, for bringing us together to talk about this remarkable initiative and its role in the development of the many countries along the Belt and Road corridors, as well as in China itself. On far too many occasions, we heard outside actors discussing Xinjiang province. As a result, it is both fair and timely to pay attention to its representatives and what they feel is necessary to say. It is with great interest that I followed this very thorough and detailed presentation. Belarus, like many other countries, has consistently urged Western critics of China to refrain from making groundless accusations against Beijing based on unconfirmed information. Belarus was proud to lead a group of 65 UN member states supporting China on Xinjiang at the Human Rights Council session this year, as it had done previously on many international fora. I'm grateful to His Excellency Ambassador Gui and the distinguished representative of the Xinjiang province for sharing their valuable insights and impressive development plans for this crucial Belt and Road crossroads. On the other side of Eurasia, in Belarus, we are doing our best to keep up with the pace at which the Belt and Road Initiative is progressing. Despite the pandemic, or better to say, with double effort, precisely because of the pandemic. The train routes that connect Europe and China have proven to be especially useful now that other means of sustaining and expanding transcontinental trade have demonstrated their vulnerability to the threats posed by the pandemic. Yet, working hand in hand with our friends and partners from China, Kazakhstan, and Russia, we were able to increase the number of containers transported by rail between the People's Republic of China and Europe by 60% in 2020 to more than 550,000. Just to remind you, 10 years ago, in 2011, this railroad route virtually did not exist. It wasn't there. This amazing trend continues this year. By the 30th of June, Belarusian railways had serviced 4,000 transit container trains traveling from China to Europe and back via checkpoint on the Belarusian-Polish border. Last year, this number of container trains was reached only on the 3rd of September. So Practically every day, an average of 24 container trains travel between China and Europe through Belarus. Our involvement with the Belt and Road Initiative doesn't stop here. The Great Stone Industrial Park, close to our capital, Minsk, is the most ambitious project that Belarus and China are implementing as part of their initiative. Great Stone is one of the best industrial parks in the world, according to the Financial Times and the World Federation of Free and Special Economic Zones. It now hosts 71 high-tech firms from 13 countries. There is even a joint Swedish-Chinese project, which we are helping to take root in the Great Stone Industrial Park. The residents of the park have already declared more than $1.2 billion as a long-term investment, and up to $570 million have already been invested in the park, and this figure continues to grow. The park serves as a multinational manufacturing platform for cutting-edge projects from around the globe. It is, which is a joint Chinese-Belarusian initiative. It is open to investors from all over the world, just like similar parks in Pakistan. In the nearest future, the Great Stone will become a smart eco-city, home for 100,000 people who will live, work, and enjoy a high-quality lifestyle there. I think that soon, and with the kind assistance of the Belt and Road Institute and the Chinese Embassy, we may organize an event dedicated to this topic. I would like to conclude by congratulating our Chinese friends on the centenary of the Communist Party. Its tireless efforts helped billions of people, both inside China and along the Belt and Road Initiative, realize their dreams. Thank you very much, and I'll be happy to stay with you longer and wish success to today's seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for those remarks. Excellent, very helpful to understand the relationship between your country and the possibilities for further collaboration with the Belt and Road, but hopefully even more broadly with Europe and continued collaboration with the EU. I will mention that there is a video that was to be shown by the delegation and group from Xinjiang that we postponed briefly so that ambassadors could make their remarks without having limitations for time. Maybe that video we could show now. I think it's not a long one, 5 minutes, and then we can continue.
Xinjiang 自古以来就是中国领土不可分割的一部分，具有特殊重。新疆自古以来就是中国领土不可分割的一部分，具有特殊重要地位。在党中央坚强领导下，在党和国家特殊关怀和19个援疆省市无私援助下，在各族干部群众的共同努力下，新疆 已经成为一片富于活力的热土，焕发出勃勃生机。这里幅员辽阔，56个民族休戚与共。新疆总面积166万多平方公里。在漫长的历史进程中，新疆各族人民与全国各族人民一道，共同开发了祖国的锦绣河山、广袤疆域。中华人民共和国成立以来，中国政府始终高度重视新疆各民族优秀传统文化的传承、保护和发展，鼓励各民族相互学习语言文字，尊重各民族风俗习惯。今天的新疆，各民族和睦相处、和衷共济、和谐发展，像16子一样紧紧抱在一起。这里和谐稳定，各族人民安居乐业。近年来，新疆高举社会主义法治旗帜，依法开展反恐怖主义和去极端化斗争，有效遏制了恐怖活动多发频发势头，最大限度保障了各族人民群众的生存权、发展权等基本权利，呈现出社会稳定、人民安居乐业的良好局面。这里繁荣进步，新发展理念深入人心。新疆把握新发展阶段，贯彻新发展理念，构建新发展格局，坚持稳中求进工作总基调，统筹常态化疫情防控和经济社会发展，保持了经济平稳健康发展。这里人民幸福，民生福祉持续增强。新疆坚持以人民为中心的发展思想，将一般公共预算支出70%以上用于保障改善民生，社会保障体系日趋完善，实施全民免费健康体检，全疆9年义务教育、南疆15年免费教育全覆盖。2020年，新疆现行标准下贫困人口全部脱贫，绝对贫困问题得到历史性解决。这里宗教和睦，宗教信仰自由得到尊重保护。新疆全面贯彻国家宗教信仰自由的宪法原则，信教群众正常的宗教活动和宗教需求受到依法保障，宗教场所和宗教活动条件不断改善。这里风光壮美，大美新疆风景如画。新疆自然景观引人入胜，人文景观飞升中外，自古享有瓜果之乡、金玉之邦和地毯丝绸王国的美誉。新疆持续推进旅游新疆战略，着力把旅游业打造成战略性支柱产业。绿水青山就是金山银山，冰天雪地也是金山银山的理念深入人心。这里优势明显，发展空间无限广阔。新疆地处亚欧大陆腹地，是亚欧大陆桥的必经之地，东西方经济文化交流的重要通道，具有得天独厚的发展条件和区位优势。未来，新疆将加快丝绸之路经济带核心区建设，积极促进“一带一路”国际合作，与大家共享发展机遇，共谋合作大计，共创美好未来。 中国新疆，欢迎您。
So thank you so much for that insightful video to experience some of the aspects and qualities of Xinjiang region. We will just mention we will have a slight change in our program because of a time factor, and I would just say that I think this is an impressive example of how one can present truthful information and accurate ideas about what is presently really going on in Xinjiang. It is a great shame that generally these ideas are not interesting to present accurately for the general public, neither in Sweden or in most of Western Europe or the US. We will take that initiative after this webinar to both use this recording to expand and present truthful reporting to the people of Sweden and Western Europe. And I thank everybody so far for their insightful remarks and contributions. Now I would like to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Hassan Daoud. He is the CEO of the Board of Investment of Pakistan's Shubar. You can help me with the pronunciation, sir. Province in the
Please unmute yourself, Mr. Hassan. Please unmute yourself.
You have to unmute yourself now.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Distinguished participants, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen, am I audible?
Yes, you are heard, sir.
Brilliant.
Very good.
Brilliant. You know, today's seminar has actually reminded me of my several visits to Urumqi and Kashgar. And I am a big fan of the Urumqi's and Kashgar's cuisine. I'm a big fan of Tapanchi. I am a big fan of the food, pilaf, and also the culture there. So let me now formally begin. Nishanmen, Shashingmen, Pangyomen, Niemen Hao, Wosher Hassan Daoud Butt. And I am the CEO of the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Province Board of Investment. We are the westerly province and we are the bordering province with Afghanistan. And while serving in China from 2009 to 2013, I got the honor and privilege to visit Xinjiang several times. And each time that I visited Xinjiang, my love for its culture, my love for its food, my love for its people grew. Each time that I visited Xinjiang, I realized that all the false narrative that is being built in the Western media has no reality. Each time that I visited, ladies and gentlemen, I knew how friendly, how brotherly the people there are, how focused the government there is on the development of their province, how focused the government there is on the socio-economic development of Xinjiang and connecting it to the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I was the project director for China-Pakistan Economic Corridor for 4 years. And this love for China and this brotherhood for China is more significant for us this year when on 21st of May, we celebrate the 70th year celebrations for establishment of diplomatic relationship of China. And in these 70 years, This relationship has grown from just being neighbors to being friends, to being brothers and sisters, and now being economic partners. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is actually helping these two countries to come closer and forge economic ties. Ladies and gentlemen, our relationship with China and also with Xinjiang has never been a transactional one. It has always increased. It has always been about win-win situation. Ladies and gentlemen, our relationship with our brothers and sisters in China is about projects, it's about friendship, it's about people-to-people connectivity. The province that I represent, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Xinjiang, have a lot of similarities. These are places where history and hospitality meet. It is a place where history was written. It is a place where trade linkages were developed through Silk Road. And we have a Khyber Pass just about 3 kilometers away from here. And traditionally, people from Central Asian Republic, people from Xinjiang used to visit this, do trading of carpets, grapes, pears, sell it here, and then those were actually exported to other countries. I have enjoyed the fruits and vegetables of Xinjiang and the pear, the grapes that our colleague was mentioning, Ms. Gu was mentioning. I've actually tasted them and they're fantastic, and we enjoy them here in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Ladies and gentlemen, our relationship with China and with Xinjiang has withstood the test of time and continues to demonstrate stability by retaining its strategic quality. Friendship between Pakistan and China was forged in the crucible of time and has gone beyond the traditional parameters of bilateral relationship. Xinjiang has sister city relationship with many cities, including Karachi, including one city in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. During our initial discussion on China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Gilgit-Baltistan and Xinjiang were brought closer in terms of developing the SEZ there in Mokpandas, and also the frequent visit by business leaders and also government leaders took place from 2013 to as we speak. And each time this relationship has grown. I was speaking at the Kashi University event on the 70th year celebration, and also I said this, that this relationship with Urumqi is much stronger. It is deeper than ocean, sweeter than honey, and higher than mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, it is imperative that we transfer this information and knowledge to the next generation also. It is imperative that we tell the West and people who are building false narrative that how friendly people of Xinjiang are. It is imperative that people like us who understand Xinjiang, who understand Chinese culture, who understand Kung Fu Zoo, who understand the history of China and our own history, must sit together more frequently, must sit together to make short, mid, long-term plans in order to bring people to people closer, in order to share information, knowledge, research. You know, the COVID-19 has actually told us that it is through forging strong people-to-people connectivity, through Health Belt and Road Initiative, we can bring the humanity closer, we can bring humanity to a future which is more important for our next generation. I was lucky to be part of both the Belt and Road Forum in 2017 and 19. And I vividly remember how CPEC Pakistan-China relationship was demonstrated as a good case study for other countries to follow. I think I would like to actually congratulate the management and of this seminar. And I see my friend Hussein Askari also there. I know Stephen, he's been a great proponent of all this. I think we must sit together more. We must talk on this subject more. Only then people will realize, you know, if you write in Chinese and we write in our own language, it won't help. We must sit together, talk about it more, let others to listen more, have more participation in events like these, so that this partnership can grow into economic relationship, which can actually help in each of our countries. It can help Belarus, it can help Pakistan, it can help Myanmar, it can even help other countries which are in the region. Ladies and gentlemen, BRI is a revival of ancient Silk Route and has become a hallmark of deep friendship between participating countries. We are living in challenging time, and it reminds me of the book called Tales of the Two Cities. We live in interesting times. We live in time of light and we live in time of darkness. But in this time, we must come closer. We must actually look at our long-term strategic and also humanitarian goals and actually forge a relationship. So I would like to thank each one of you for patiently listening to me and all my friends here. And I would request that we must have a similar event at least 1 month so that we can become brothers and sisters more than friends. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan Daoud. Excellent thoughts for everyone here. And I promise you, the Belt and Road Institute in Sweden is not going to rest. We are going to continue to base the type of dialogue here, which is China, it's Pakistan, it's Norway, it's Italy. I'm originally from the United States. I'm not happy with the way the United States is behaving, unfortunately. I think they have to make some drastic changes. But it is the substance of what we are presenting here that will continue to get this message across to people who understand that there is no other pathway for humanity other than cooperation and friendship. And the Belt and Road is the vehicle for that. And Asia, as a great area of humanity's both history and present circumstances, China, Russia, Pakistan, India, and so forth, they give the world a great possibility. And the rest of the world, and most definitely Europe and the United States, are going to have to wake up and understand that the substance of this type of cooperation will not stop. We will continue, as Mr. Hassan has suggested, as often as we possibly can. So thank you so much. I would like to, at this point, give the floor to another expert specialist who has been with us before, Professor Michele Geraci, who is the former Undersecretary of State of the Italian Ministry of Economic Development. He is an active business and activist in China. He speaks fluent Mandarin. I think he will speak to us in English on this occasion, but it's useful for people to know that he has insights and knowledge that he's going to share with us that is based very much on personal experience. And I welcome you, Professor Geraci, to give us your thoughts. I understand that we will also hear a short video that you would like to share as well. So at the end of your remarks, I think we can do that. Or if you would prefer, maybe you would like to do that in the beginning.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yes, very happy and very honored to be here with you today. Thank you for the invitation. I'll give you really what I have seen during my trip to Xinjiang, some impressions that I have gathered that I would like to share with you. Indeed, there is a video. Stephen, do I have the right to share screen and show it, or can I have one of you guys to?
Yes, you have permission to share.
I have permission. Okay, so I will do it maybe at the end of my very short introduction. Let me find the video anyway. In the meantime, I tell you, I was in Xinjiang only a couple of months ago in May, and as you know, I normally live in China when I am not in Italy. My position now is in between, let's say, the government layer and the academic think tank layer. So my goal now is to try to bring to the table of policymakers in Italy, of course, my country, in Europe and around the world, all the analysis, studies, ideas to improve economic and social situations in around the world, really. So I'm trying to act as a linkage between the fact that are, in a way, the core essence of research and think tanks and universities, academics, with the politics that sometimes tend to either misunderstand or misread facts, so that policymakers can act on the basis of data, not on the basis of more random input. And so one thing that I've done over the last 2 months since I've been back from Xinjiang back to Italy is exactly this, trying to describe to the public opinion, to the media, to policymakers, to members of the government and companies, what is that I've seen in Xinjiang. And what I've seen is indeed very different from what they thought, from what the general understanding is in the Western societies about what is happening there. My point is that people were doubting that I was even in Xinjiang. They were arguing that probably I was even I was faking my presence there, so I had to show some live video from the market around the areas to actually show that I was there. So there was a really, I think this is it's not a joke, it's a really psychological barrier. Some journalists were doubting my very presence there. I would jump into a taxi in Urumqi, in Turfan, or in other cities and try to talk with the local people, and they were even doubting, saying, "No, Michele, you are not in Xinjiang, you're in Rome, you're just pretending." Then I went on to try to learn. I even said thank you, Rachmet, in a Uyghur language to show that it didn't work. They were just thinking I was in Rome, faking to be in Urumqi. So this is really the perception. We have a psychological barrier. You know, it's very difficult. It's easier. I think there's a sentence, I don't know who said that. It's very easy to cheat people than to persuade them that they've been cheated. And this is really the stage where we're at now. My trip to Xinjiang was made up of 2 parts. So I give you the background so you understand the facts, again, that I like. There was, of course, a few days where I was in the company of local members of the official community that helped me introduce to the people that I had asked to meet. So I met with you know, some local academics. I met with imam in the mosque. I went to some of the schools of Islamic culture. I did go to see companies producing tractors for the harvest of cotton. I went to the cotton fields. And this was, let's say, the official part. You know, people were saying, "Oh, Michele, that doesn't matter. You were taken by the local government and they will show you what they wanted." And this is not true, because I asked what I wanted to see. But the important thing is that then in the second part of my trip, I did what I normally do around China, get on a train by myself and traveled around the region completely free to go and do whatever I want, just like I do in Shanghai or in any other part of China. And I noticed the dissonance between the narrative and the reality. Again, I do economics, so I don't deal with the human rights. But of course, when I deal with economics, I look at the society. And I say my belief is that the discussion on genocide is completely not true. It is, in my view, again, take it as an input, not as an output. This is not a judgment. It's a data that I offer to the discussion. Just like when we do discussion in courts, people bring evidence, and it's the judges that make up a decision. My evidence is that it is, in my view, as an analyst, almost mathematically impossible that the claims of 1 to 3 million people being subject to forced labor or anything, that it's impossible that these 3 million people experience would not transmit into the society, into the outside of these alleged camps. We have in Xinjiang about 12.5 million ethnic Uyghurs. So if we had really 3 million or even 1 million people suffering from those accusations, there would be mothers, children, parents, relatives of these people that in the normal day life would know about those. And when I was walking and traveling around, I saw nothing that would indicate that family would have the sons, the daughters in prison somewhere else. So this was absolutely not the atmosphere that you would breathe when you walk in the streets there. It's a completely normal situation. There is, in a way, lifestyle similar to other parts of China. I have seen a lot of positive measures by the Chinese government to stimulate the economy. I went to see some production of naan bread, which is the local, one of the local products. So the traditional local product mixed with new technology, with live streaming, so that the market for this naan bread that used to be limited to the local region actually was reaching the rest of China, thanks to a mix exactly of traditional, making the bread, the naan bread, with the live streaming online sales. And so I did meet young ladies and young boys that were making up to even 20,000 renminbi per month, which is a lot of money, even in Shanghai, let alone in the western part of China, where the average GDP is, of course, lower. Thanks to this technology, there was, of course, the industry of tourism, even wineries in Turpan, competing with Italian wine. So we are trying to find some way to cooperate. Maybe there is also possibility to exchange knowledge on production. The market is expanding. So I did see, I'm probably the only member of a European or Western government or former member that has been in Xinjiang in the last few months. And I have to say that I do see a situation which is pretty much normal and similar to the rest of China. There is one thing that we need to see, and this is, again, what I've perceived. I think the Chinese government, and we can judge it or not, my view is that they did right. I think what they did is they were heavy-handed against the terrorism. That may be true, and it's something that, by the way, I would support. China would not accept any separatist or let alone any terrorist activity. Terrorist activity that, I tell you, are not really well known in the West. Very few people know about the Kunming attack, the Urumqi attack, and so on. We're talking about sometimes few, sometimes even tens and even up to hundreds of people died in single attacks. So this anti-terrorism battle, I think a choice of China not to give too much public media exposure, not to incite other people to imitate and follow, very different from the approach that we have here in the West. Every time we have a problem, the whole media covers it, and that it's of course good to inform people, but of course has the side effect to entice other people to imitate or emulate the so-called heroes. Of course, China may have a different approach, so that message did not get across to the West. We people in the West are not really aware of the serious terrorist attack that China had suffered. So I think China did two things. A, did not talk too much about it, not to create further problem, and two, go heavy into try to stop it. And who would not agree that this is a good idea? So all the problems that people discuss about, and again, in my view, there is completely no targeted problem with the one specific ethnic or even religious minority. The fact that there have been some problem with terrorism in the region of Xinjiang with this part of the Uyghur community is not because they were of a certain ethnic, of a certain religion. It just happens that they were on and we know very well, we have friends from other countries bordering China, troubles always happen at the border of countries. So I am actually worried that we need to keep an eye on the southwestern border of China, because this is where people who want to, let's say, stir up turmoil, it's easier to go along the borders. But when I've asked, this is the key point, when I've asked why would ever the Chinese government have anything to do against the Uyghur minority? Why is it that there are 55 minorities? They all live happily. Why would it be that there is a problem only with one minority? Why is it that there should be a problem only with one of the many provinces in China? What would be, when we discuss again trials, we need to have a motive for a certain activity, and no one has ever really been able to tell me why would China be doing something against targeting a specific minority, a specific ethnic. That question really remains unanswered, and so in a way that makes any, let's say, accusation completely unfounded. From a logical point of view, there is really no reason why China would do that. I want to really close here, and I show you really the video that I was shows in a way better than words what I have really seen and what I have really witnessed by myself.
Professor, it's better if you have it as a file instead of YouTube.
And I think this is always the best way. Sorry, can I do it on the internet, like on a web, or can I share the web and show you my browser? Would that be okay?
You can try, but if you have the video as a file on your computer, it's better to use that one. But
no,
try
I don't. Let me try, okay? Let me try if it works with the screen sharing. Give me a second. Do you see it now?
Yes.
Tell me if you hear it also.
Make it a full screen, please.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, this tries to give you an idea that I'm one of these analysts that like to, you know, get the hands dirty, dirty with sand, dirty with really doing the things that we try to do. You know, we meet with the country top leaders, but also with the farmers to really understand the level of society. And this is really the way I work. So in this 2 minutes video, I really wanted to convey to the audience this mix. First, that I did the things traveling independently and saw many aspects of society, and also give the idea, we always say, Xinjiang 是个好地方. This is true. Xinjiang is really a very, very nice area. And I think there's lots of potential for tourism. And I actually am trying to build a closer cooperation for renewable energies. We have seen and I witnessed wind farms that extend for kilometers. We know that we are moving to solar energy. We have the Green New Deal here in Europe. Just recently, not in Xinjiang, but in Shanghai, China opened up a 2.2 gigawatt factory of solar. We have also concentrated solar panels. So anyway, this is an area that has a great economic potential, and it's an economic potential which is in line with what the West wants to do, which is decarbonize, go green, do more tourism, more ecotourism, and give value to the local product, maybe not just natural resources, but also local agricultural and food product. So I hope I gave you a mixed, view of, not mixed in the meaning of many angles view of the things I've seen, putting my hat as an economist, my hat as a traveler, and really talking to, you saw in the images, to average person on the street that confirms what I said at the beginning. This is not a region where people live under any threat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. That was excellent, insightful, and factual in terms of
yes.
your own experience. And it's a powerful input for our objectives. I would just comment that these false narratives that have been mentioned, it is always possible that as human beings, we can make mistakes. But when the mistakes are pointed out and the substance and reality of what is really going on is ignored, then it's another problem than just simply making a mistake. Then it's an intention to misrepresent the picture that is in reality and the substance of the reality that is going on. So I just make that point because I think that our task is to continue to stand for the reality and the substance and recognize that unfortunately we are meeting with intentions on other forces and factors who do not wish to be properly informed about the substance and the reality. Nonetheless, we will continue without sleep to continue to do what we are doing, and we appreciate your input. Hopefully, it will continue with us in future seminars as well.
I actually, Stephen, I want to also let you know, maybe it's an occasion for the future. In September, I will go back to Xinjiang. So I will do another trip 3 months later. So I tell our Chinese friends, 我9月份呢，我打算就回去新疆，再看看做其他的研究。So maybe this is an opportunity, Stephen, to retouch base and give you another live Facebook. I will be connecting from there. But you're right, Stephen, it is hard. It is hard to persuade about facts. We're not doing anything unusual. It's become a world where telling the truth is becoming difficult.
Well, it is true. Thank you. And I will be very grateful for your further collaboration and cooperation with us because it is sorely needed. Without saying in this context a great deal more about certain philosophical issues as to why it is the case that many people do not understand the truth. I think it is not because they don't wish to. Often they are unfortunately manipulated to believe things without really being able to investigate and to go deeper into the real nature of what's going on. But we save that for another context. I just mentioned that it is that challenge that we have, and we will continue to work for it. The next speaker I want to introduce is a former member of the Norwegian Parliament. He's the co-founder of Ichi Foundation, which works in China. Tor Vestby is a close colleague of the Belt and Road Institute in Sweden and has spoken at several of our webinars and seminars previously. And I welcome him. He has personally visited and experienced Xinjiang region, and I think he can give us some of his own insightful points of his experience. So you're welcome, Mr. Vestby.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you very much for having me. And thank you, BRIX. You are really doing a great job. And I was asked to give a few words about my trip to Xinjiang in May 2019. But when I hear this excellent Professor Geraci telling about in May 2021 this year, I will not boring you by telling my story from 2019, but I will happily say that I can confirm almost everything that Professor Geraci said, because we've been at a lot of the same places. We had exactly the same experience and the same impressions of the people and what was going on, the situation and the atmosphere. I can just add one thing. There were checkpoints. They checked your passport. If you were in a car, even in a desert, out of the car, checked your suitcase things. That is okay. Because it is, I had the same feeling as Geraci. I felt safe as at any place in China. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about it before I came back to Norway. I was feeling exactly the same. So I will just say that I fully agree and I fully confirm what Geraci so splendidly expressed to you. Yeah. So I would like to take the opportunity. You mentioned that I'm a co-founder of a foundation doing activities with China and Europe and Eurasia. I'm also a board member in a think tank called the Transnational Foundation for Peace and Future Research, the TFF. We released a report by the end of April. It is about Xinjiang, and it is named the Xinjiang Genocide Determination as Agenda. It is about the West using the acquisitions of genocides as a political agenda. I will put the link in the chat box in a few seconds, so you can take a look at that, because that is really what should be worrying us. The narrative that the West is trying to put on China. And I can also announce that we will, on July the 30th, on the International Day for Friendship, we will release our second report, and that is called Behind the Smoke Screens, because we will relieve all the work that the West is doing to put out smoke, so the people in the West are not aware of all the good things that is going on in China. So with these words, I just want to close by that. So I thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tora Vesby. I think that your involvement in these projects will help to enlighten people. Knowledge is very important when one is fighting to determine substance and reality, and contributions in this form can be investigated and analyzed, which they should be, and determined the basis of what is being done and why it's being done. So thank you very much. I would now like to invite our next speaker, Ms. Hulin Shi, who is the editor of Rail Freight in the Netherlands. And she will speak to us, I suppose, from Amsterdam, or maybe what?
Rotterdam.
Rotterdam, okay, then very good. You're most welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Can I share my screen? I have made some
yes.
slides. Sorry. I don't really know how it works. Oh, here. Can you see it?
Yes.
So, first of all, I really appreciate this opportunity to present in this webinar. I'm Huilin Shi, the editor of Rail Freight dossier. I'll introduce this a little bit later. My presentation will be in a more practical perspective. I will talk about Xinjiang's role as an important logistics hub on New Silk Road from my previous research. So before my presentation, I would like to introduce a bit about my company and the publication I'm working for. So my company, ProMedia Publishing Group, is a leading publisher in the field of transportation and logistics in Europe. And we write qualified news, updated reports, and conduct interviews with industrial experts. And we also do online broadcasting and organize conferences to make better communication in different parts. And Rail Freight dossier is a Chinese publication. So we mostly focus on the international rail freight, especially China-Europe Express. I don't know if you have ever heard about this emerging train service. Actually, Xinjiang is a very significant part of this service. I will elaborate it later. So our goal is to try to bridge the information gap between these two continents, also involving the countries in Central Asia, because there is long distance and also language barriers. And now we have gathered a great number of audience. So we are trying to make the new Silk Road more and more well known to the public. So under the Belt and Road Initiative, Xinjiang's target is to become the core area of Silk Road economic in aspects like medical and health, cultural, and also manufacturing, logistics, and also trading. So as it's connecting, its role of now the role of Xinjiang is connecting inland Chinese cities in the western part and the central part of China to connect them with Central Asia, also even further to Europe. And leveraged on this logistics position, it's very potentially to become a new training center along this new Silk Road. And why is Xinjiang so important for logistics? So I would start with its unique location, and our previous speakers also mentioned a little bit about it. So I listed the major three factors. First, it has the longest land boundaries. It's over 5,000 kilometers, almost a quarter of the whole boundary of China. And it has 8 neighboring countries. Also, because of this unique location, there are 17 border ports, which is authorized by the Chinese government, which means this via these ports, you can freely do business with the neighboring countries. And these ports including 2 for air transport and 15 for land transport. So as you can see picture here, it shows where those ports are located, and also 3 main corridors through Xinjiang. And I would like to share a little bit about the latest development of Xinjiang's transportation. This statistics is that I've collected from the 13th 5-year plan of China, of Xinjiang. And as you can see, for road transportation, it has achieved a lot of improvements, as I highlighted here, and also to better cooperate with other countries. Xinjiang has signed an agreement with 9 countries nearby and launched over 50 international roads. And also you can see it has handled a great volume of cargo. It's billions of tons of cargo within Xinjiang and also via Xinjiang to other countries. And also air transportation is also under constructions. So I showed a picture here. It's probably not the latest one, but you can have an overview of how the roads are organized in Xinjiang. So you can see in the north is more populated than the south. So, and at the border, there are more traffic going through. So, and these 2 important modalities of transportation can actually partly approve the importance of Xinjiang as a regional logistics parks. But what really refuels its great logistics potential is actually the emerging train services, which is called China-Europe Express. So this train was first launched a decade ago, which is in 2011. The first train was departed from the Chinese city of Chongqing in the middle China, in the central China via Xinjiang all the way to Germany. And as you can see, until now, this train has connected over 23 countries in 169 European cities. And now there are 29 Chinese provinces are launching regular trains all the way to Central Asia and even Western Europe. So here are the latest statistics of the number of trains that are launched annually. So you can see at the beginning it grows steadily, but recently due to COVID-19, air transport and cross-continental air transport and sea transport are facing a lot of hurdles. So this train service is really booming now. You can see in 2020 we have over 12,000 trains departed from China, between China and Europe. And for the first half of this year, there are already over 9,000 of trains departed. So it's foreseeable that maybe at the end of this year, the number can reach even higher, like over 20,000. So what is Xinjiang's role in this very important train services? So I will dive a little bit more into this service. As we can see, there are three main roads of this train service. The west road is via Alashankou and Horgos, which are located in the border of Xinjiang and Kazakhstan. And the middle road is via Arlian and Manzhouli, and the east road is via Suifenhe. And I showed some graphics which shows how many trains were handled on those land ports. So you can see from the pies in the darker blue, this is Alashankou and this is Horgos. And in 2020, there are over half of the train being handled in these two ports. And for the first half of this year, it's even higher. It has reached the percentage of 66.5. So that is really impressive, which means this train service is heavily rely on the operation at the border of Xinjiang and Kazakhstan. So people might wonder that if the train only bypass the province of Xinjiang, why is it important? Actually, when it comes to railway, it's more complicated than other modalities of transportation. You don't only do like customs clearance, you do more procedures. So I will explain what is exactly happening at the border and how Xinjiang is functioning to boost this service. So due to the different gauge in CIS countries, including Kazakhstan and China. So if the train once the train reaches the border, the cargo need to be reloaded to another train with different wagons and different locomotives, even with the local train drivers. And also because wider gauge can allow a train to carry heavier cargo than the normal one. So, and I listed some numbers here, as you can see more clearly. So for the train coming back from Europe to China, it also has to maybe separate one train into two. So I would like to explain more about these two major land ports I have mentioned previously. Alashankou, which is corresponding to the Kazakhstan city of Dotik. And you can see from the right, the upper picture showing the terrain situation of Alashankou is actually between two mountains. So the weather can be very windy and dusty. So this port is more suitable for handling heavy cargo, such as mineral-based construction materials and coke, steel, and other industry products. And the other port, as you can see at the lower part of the picture, it's a very flat area, so it's more suitable for textile and clothing. also maybe cotton from Xinjiang. So these ports are cooperating with each other very well. And you can imagine these two ports has to handle over 12,000 or 20,000 of trains per year. So you can see how much efforts people has put to improve these ports. And in 2020, there is actually a lot of improvement after and complementing those improvement projects. So the handling capacity in these two ports increasing rapidly. So besides being a transiting port for cargoes between China and Europe, Xinjiang is actually launching its own train to carry its local products all the way to Europe. So these pictures are taken from my previous experience in Xinjiang. This is the city of Huogos. And because of this train service, these cities really become more energetic and more diverse. And you can see from the right picture, this is a collection of products from all over the world, from Europe, from Central Asia. So Xinjiang is really becoming a trading center. I mean, back to 20 years ago, you cannot imagine that I can buy European products in Xinjiang, because this is such a province that is limited by its location inland. So I really personally impressed at the development of Xinjiang, and I welcome all the questions and remarks from your side. I hope I have contributed a little bit to this conversation, and this is my contact. If you have any related news or messages that you want to deliver, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think your ideas have shown that the basis of cooperation between Xinjiang, China, and Europe is for the taking for anyone who is sensible enough to say, let's work together. There is absolutely no objective reason why that should not be going on, or more than it presently is. And as you pointed out, the development of these freight lines, rail lines, also establishes cities and development along the route of these transportation corridors, which has always been the case, even going back to the United States experience with the Transcontinental Railroad, and as is going on. So this is something we have to continue to work in educating the European and Swedish public to what great opportunities there actually are. Thank you so much for that. I would like to introduce now to make some short remarks to us, Xu Fei from Green Post. She is a journalist here in Sweden and has written, in fact, an article that I read not for a bit an earlier period on her work in Xinjiang. And I welcome her to report on that or other aspects of what she can let us know. So you're welcome, Xu Fei.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen, for giving me this chance. Because only 2 days ago, I was told that I share some of my impression or my experience when I went to Xinjiang 2018. Just now, someone said they went to 2019 and I went in 2018. I can just have a little introduction about myself. So I was this Green Post editor and the founder, And when I came back from Xinjiang, I published this newspaper. And so all my experience in 3 languages, English, Swedish, and Chinese, and with a lot of pictures. And I have to say, share with Professor Michelle, it is true. The first time I have friends like from Xinjiang, 1990s, but how is Xinjiang? Our impression is always Xinjiang is poor, it's backward, and also there was bombing, and it was not very safe. So personally, in my inner heart, really, I have such a question in the mind: how is the security and the situation there? But as soon as I arrived there, I just see a totally feeling at home kind of feeling, you know, the city structures or planning feel like similar as my hometown in Northeast China, Dalian, Shenyang, and Beijing. You know, you have the Xidan and Wangfujing downtown street names. It's just the same as anywhere in China. So you feel like, aha, it's really very feeling at home. And then I have to thank for the previous speaker is Shi Huilin, have a real theoretical or good PowerPoint with an overall picture. I only give you some specific my impression picture. So that time I went to this Xinjiang alignment center. So it is here I see the number 1,486 train just set off that day on August 25th, 2018. And so that year they said they plan to have like 1,400 trains going on operation to Europe. And but this is very, very impressive because that time is like 1,400. But by this year, May 21st, 2021, I read the news, it's up to 10,000 trains operating, or 10,000 times. And the good news is also they actually have another alignment site in Kurla. Kurla is, you know, in the middle of and in the southern part of Xinjiang. And by that, I was also so impressive. I show you how these the free trade show us. You see, this is a Kurla pear, the goat, delicious Kurla pear can come to Sweden, and I bought it in the market in Stockholm. I was just so impressive and feel so happy about this. And also the Xinjiang fruit, you know, you talk about tourism and here. You have all these, we have all these, 新疆是个好地方，新疆西瓜大又甜, and that's not new. Good melon, watermelon, and holong or honey. But this white one, you know, this white melon, I never see that before in Sweden. And this year I found it in the supermarket, in the Ika market. I see this white melon from Xinjiang. It's just so impressive. And another thing is I bought a robot vacuum cleaner, and I booked it online just for, they told me like it takes 24 days to arrive, but in the end, it just arrived within a week. And it's set out from China, then land in Germany, and then from Germany to Sweden within a week. So it's just absolutely very impressive. And I like to echo about Xinjiang's agriculture. Earlier, the Xinjiang official talked about that, and I can show you this. You can see. This is a technology. It's an irrigation technology, and it lasts thousand years. And why Xinjiang can have a lot of highly effective irrigation system and get a good agriculture and these agriculture products is because they have this irrigation technology using the underground irrigation canal. And this is very spectacular or special in Xinjiang for the, so like a turbine, the Gobi or desert areas. And also, I think my impression when I was there, Xinjiang, how they get rid of the poverty. The poverty is through 3 ways. And that sounds like what happened in Jiangsu or somewhere along the Yangtze River. Why? Because the farmers have 3 incomes. One is they have the they have their animal husbandry and they have the melon and so on. But then they have the tourism. So the tourism has been from 2017 or 18, it's like 100 million tourists. And 2019, they get 200 million. And their goal is like 300 million. It's like a total American, or less than, just a little less than American total population. And so the tourism is very developed there. And when I was there, we have a Pakistan colleague, journalist said, yeah, my impression is Xinjiang is used tourism to deal with terrorism also. So by developing the local economy, you just eradicate the poverty, and without the poverty, people will do their business and thinking how to live a better life instead of engaging of some conflict or these terrorist ideas. And I want to show another picture. Yeah, we talk about tourism. So here is a beautiful place I have been to. This is, look. This is called Moon Bay. Moon Bay in the Altai area is northern Xinjiang. So last time I traveled mainly in the northern part and in Hanas area. So it's just a fantastic tourist site. It's just extremely beautiful and so attract a lot of tourists. And my impression is, and then actually I went to Xinjiang personally twice again after that. So 2019, in March after the National Congress, I went to Xinjiang, and then I went to Turpan to see the, Turpan is totally different from the northern part. Northern part is very green and a lot of water and river and the lakes, but in Turpan it's very, very dry. It can be as high as 70 degrees and it's a desert area, but it's a very good with a grape, and they have a grape tourism that's also very attractive. And just now the water irrigation museum I visited is in Turpan actually. And then about the Xinjiang's religion and also the ethnic group unity. I have this experience also. When I was there, these different ethnic groups, people. So in the Korban festival, they just neighborhood, there is a neighborhood committee. And this neighborhood committee just invite all the neighbors, no matter you are Hui, Han, or Kazakhs or Uyghurs, you come together, everybody bring your own snacks and sit together and singing, dancing, and talking, and just have a good party. And they every year have this special day. So it's really, you feel like all the different ethnic group of people just they can sitting together and talk with each other and share the festival atmosphere. And the Xinjiang people is very good at singing and dancing. So we visited a lot of concerts. And so my impression is Xinjiang is very safe, no problem. You go there to travel. Of course, the security check is the same as go to the subway, go to railway station, or go to airport. Yes, you should have the security check. But then everything else is just so free. The Grand Bazaar in Urumqi, you just, I have deleted that video, but in the night, the night scene was just very busy and so full of people, very crowded. And Grand Bazaar is also a focal point for all different kinds of agricultures. So like Yuthim said, different Muslim countries communicate here, exactly. So you have the products from many other Central Asian countries, Turkey or Arab countries, and they all sold here, and all kinds of people. Yeah, like you say, 56 ethnic group of people, they just gathering here. And finally, I have to mention that I was so impressed with the road and new energy. So Xinjiang is not was not developed because it was lag behind in infrastructure. China has a saying called, if you want to get rich, become rich, then you have to build a road. And that is exactly implemented in Xinjiang too. And Xinjiang built a lot of airports, railway, and fast train is in Xinjiang, to Xinjiang, and also the subway. So 2018, I was there and just live in a hotel just beside the subway station, which was not completed yet. And then just a few months later, I went to Xinjiang again, and just the subway went operation. Guess how much the ticket? It's just 7 yuan from the center to the airport. So it's like just 10 kroner with this subway. It's just brand new and just so modern it is. And also the road we drive from Urumqi to Turban. And you can see the Xinjiang has the widest road in China, or maybe in the world too. It's just so wide and modern and good road. And along the road, you have another beautiful scene that was the wind turbine. All the wind turbine along the road. And yes, Xinjiang is also rich in wind. So they have the wind power, solar power, oil, and all the others, like the previous leader said. So Xinjiang is a very rich place, and Xinjiang people used to say that they don't want to travel to other places in the world because they have everything there. And it's such a wonderful place that is willing to cooperate with the outside world. And I also saw actually in 2018, the Swedish ABBA production line, the milk ABBA production line is installed in Xinjiang, in Changji new technique zone. And also the garment factories or companies, boutique or stores is also there. So I was so happy that I get the Kurla pair can be here. This kind of thing is a very short time, you cannot transport so long, but thanks to the China-Europe Express, this rail freight train, Sweden, we benefit so much from this. And I have to say that I was impressed by the Swedish Minister of Trade, actually. Minister of Trade he told me when I interviewed him, he said, yes, thanks to China's train, thanks to China's, this didn't stop the train. So during the COVID-19 period, there is a large amount of goods transporting from Europe and from Europe to China too. Indeed, at the beginning, it's a little bit empty when we go back, but now the 70% of the train just full, even when they go back to China. So mutual benefit really reflected in the China-Europe train, freight train. So I would say that due to this, it shortens our transportation and really benefits both sides, China and Europe. So I just like to say so much. And if you have any other questions, we can talk later. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Shufei. Yeah, I would only advise you if you could share on the chat your article, if you have it in some form of file that you can share, then people would be able to read your experience and the article that you wrote, which I think for those who can read, I think it's in Swedish, they're welcome.
Yes, I like to say also, I made a 5 minutes video also. It's called A Journey to Xinjiang, A Journey to Xinjiang, and it is in the YouTube also. Yeah, I can put down my
You can put the link
website
out.
also.
You
Yes,
can put the link out. Very good.
I'll do that.
Okay, I had only, before we come to what I think is always the most interesting part of a webinar is when people can dialogue and discuss and have questions and comments, and you create that is done in the proper way, a very fascinating dynamic of an interchange with all the ideas that have been presented. But before we get to that, I hope Professor Gerace can be with us. I saw on the chat that one of your colleagues from Italy, Mr. Celani, wants to ask a question. I don't think it has to be right now if you are going to be with us, because before we come to that, I would like to introduce my colleague, Hussein Askari, who will make the last presentation of this webinar, and then we can go directly to some of the points, questions that we have before us, and continue the discussion. I'm sure that even with 1 hour, we will probably have more to discuss at a later time, but at least it's a good start. So, Mr. Askari, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to be with you. I have also learned a lot today, and it would not be wise for a person like me who has never visited Xinjiang, the Uyghur Autonomous Region, nor is a China expert, to discuss the economic and social issues of the province itself, especially after we have received such a wealth of knowledge and experience from all the previous speakers. We have many journalists and writers who write about Xinjiang, but like me, they have never been there, but they sound like they are experts on everything. And that's one of the problems we have with the journalism and media in the West. I will focus on the economic and strategic importance of this province instead, and China's relationship to the immediate neighbors of this province and China generally to the West. It's a matter of historical fact that the majority of the population of Xinjiang and the neighboring countries to the west of it, west of China, are Muslim people. This makes Xinjiang and its people a most suitable bridge to its Muslim neighbor nations. Since the 8th century, after a preliminary clash between the Tang dynasty and the Abbasid Muslim dynasty, Xi'an, the capital of the Tang dynasty at this time, and Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid Empire, enjoyed a protracted period of diplomatic, trade, and scientific exchange, which went for several centuries. It's enough to refer to the knowledge of papermaking, a Chinese invention, which the Muslims and Arabs learned through the contact with China, and made a revolution in communication of ideas, technology transfer, and philosophical thoughts over many centuries. That was not matched, that revolution was not matched until the internet revolution. So important was the paper, the invention of the production of paper for the world. Today, the same nations are posed to gain enormously from a similar kind of East-West cooperation through the Belt and Road Initiative. I don't want to mention a lot about the Pakistani part, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, because our previous speakers, Mr. Hassan Dawood and Ambassador Zahur Ahmad, made the thorough presentation of that. And we also had a whole seminar, a webinar recently on that. So I will focus briefly on Central Asian relations to the BRI. The Central Asian nations are, while they are wealthy in natural resources, their historical problem is that they are landlocked. They don't have access to the international markets. So these nations like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan can benefit very much from this development of the Belt and Road. And Afghanistan, which I will come to in somewhere at the end of my presentation, is somewhere between Central and Southwest Asia, but it's a very special position and it's very crucial for all the countries in the region. And China's relationship to Central Asia has been evolving into a positive direction, especially after the initiation of the Belt and Road by President Xi Jinping in 2013 in Kazakhstan. There is coordination with China on all 5 main principles of the BRI: policy coordination, connectivity, unhindered trade, financial cooperation, and people-to-people dialogue. The countries and China cover all these aspects. I will only focus, of course, on the connectivity and industrial cooperation. Now, the Central Asian nations, except for Turkmenistan, which has adopted a neutrality stance regarding political and economic alliances, have adapted their national development plans to the BRI. Not only their trade has grown massively with China, many infrastructural and agro-industrial projects are now integrated into the BRI and cooperation with China. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which initially was a security organization, has now evolved into an economic cooperation vehicle. The Joint Commission on Facilitation of the International Road Transport, for example, is one of the important platforms for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, especially in infrastructure matters. There are several China Central Asian initiatives, such as the Sino-Kyrgyz Regional Cooperation Plan from 2015-2020. We have the Kazakhstan's Bright Road Initiative. We have Tajikistan's National Development Strategy 2030 and Uzbekistan's New Development Strategy. All these strategies have incorporated the elements of the BRI in as national policy. And concerning connectivity, and as I was, as it was explained perfectly by Mrs. Huilin Shi in her presentation, Xinjiang is connected to the 3 main Belt and Road corridors, 3 of the 6. These are the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the New Silk Road, which goes from also from Xinjiang to Central Asia, Iran, and to Turkey. We have also the Eurasian Corridor from Xinjiang through Kazakhstan, Russia, Belarus, and Western Europe. That's where the China-Europe Express goes. But to have an effective connectivity, there is a need to upgrade the transport and power infrastructure of China's neighbors to match the development of China's own economy and rapid increase in China-Europe trade, because we might have bottlenecks now in Kazakhstan, in other Central Asian countries, because their infrastructure is not developed enough. And this is one of the key elements which China is cooperating with the Central Asian countries on. In Central Asia, China is involved in the several connectivity development projects, according to a study conducted by researcher Yao Ziyan. The one is it's a long list, but the main ones are the Kazakhstan Lianyungang logistics cooperation base, and it goes with Kazakhstan, China, Russia, Belarus, Poland, and Germany. The Kazakhstan, China, Turkmenistan to Iran and Persian Gulf development project. We have the Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, China, Kazakhstan, and Caucasus to Europe by train and ferry. We have the Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, Turkey, Europe, line 2. So we have also the Kyrgyz Bishkek main road in renovation. We have the Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan highway, the Tajikistan, Baghdad, Yuvon railway. So it's a long list, but there are tens of projects for connectivity, but also renovating the power base, the power generation base of the Central Asian countries is conducted with cooperation with China. Now, there's also a number of very interesting industrial parks being developed together with China, like the Kazakhstan Aiju Grain and Oil Trade Logistics Park for $140 million. We have the Kazakhstan China Modern Agriculture Innovation Park in Almaty for about investment $283 million. We have the Uzbekistan Pangseng Industrial Park for $50 million. We have the Tajikistan Northern Non-Ferrous Metals Industrial Park worth investments $500 million. So there are many similar industrial parks developing there in a similar manner, but less degree, as we heard from Mr. Hassan Dawood in Pakistan. We have several very interesting industrial parks. So the development of the Central Asian countries will depend very much on the participation in the Belt and Road, but working intensively with both China, but now Russia, which has intensified its cooperation with China, and also with Iran, which also has a strategic agreement signed now with China, a 25-year strategic investment agreement. So all these things can contribute to Central Asia's own development, and they're using their natural resources both for their own development, but also for export to other areas. So this is a very fascinating part of the world, which there are many myths and many legends written about it, but now finally it can come out to the world thanks to the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, finally, I want to just discuss the question of Afghanistan, because it's all over the news right now, because it's very important to take it, because now a great opportunity has opened together with the great risks in Afghanistan to reverse the wrong policies of the past 30 years of using military force alone to solve problems that could have been solved socioeconomically, as China has done in Xinjiang. It is perfectly possible today to bring together the powerful nations from East and West, together with the neighbors of both China and, of course, its Xinjiang province, to put together a roadmap towards peace in Afghanistan and the whole region based on economic cooperation and reconstruction along the Belt and Road. Now, unfortunately, we're supposed to have a guest with us today, the chairwoman of the Schiller Institute, Mrs. Helga Sepp-Larouche, who has launched an international initiative for peace in Afghanistan based on integrating Afghanistan in the major picture of the Belt and Road, but also that all the major powers from East and West should work together to stabilize Afghanistan and also rebuild its infrastructure and economy. And as you see in the map behind me, our view in the Belt and Road Institute is that all nations should be, including the Americas, should be part of the Belt and Road Initiative, because that's the way we can secure a future, a shared future for humankind. Now, Afghanistan, I can share with you just to give you a sense of the place and its proximity. Now, as you see, this is a topographical map, but you see Afghanistan is a neighbor of China, although through a very rough terrain. But we have Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Iran, and Pakistan, and close by we have India. So this is a very important, I mean, the destabilization of Afghanistan historically has affected all the neighboring countries, including with terrorism, but also the drug production, which increased under the NATO and US British control. And we have drug addiction in all the countries around Afghanistan, but also in Russia. So it's very important that all these nations embrace Afghanistan, envelope Afghanistan with an economic development plan. Afghanistan is squeezed between the two of the main Belt and Road corridors, the Silk Road corridor, which goes through from Xinjiang to Central Asia, Iran, and Turkey, and and the lower one is the China-Pakistan economic corridor. But Afghanistan itself has never benefited from this initiative. We have the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is a very useful tool now to use because it includes most nations in this Eurasian picture, but also India and Pakistan, Iran. All these countries can work together now to embrace Afghanistan into a map. And China's foreign minister, Mr. Wang Yi, is on a tour right now to Central Asian countries to activate the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to come up with a plan for Afghanistan. But we believe that it's only through economic development we can stabilize Afghanistan, something which was not done by NATO and the United States in the past 20 years. So Afghanistan should be connected to the Belt and Road, but also the connectivity among the Central Asian nations themselves is very, very crucial. There are many ideas, including from what I mentioned, the Schiller Institute. I've been a member of that institute too, but also in collaboration with Russian and other Chinese. There are many different plans to rebuild Afghanistan and connect it and break its isolation. We have massive natural resources in Afghanistan that can be exploited. The United States did one good thing, is the US Geological Survey made a thorough study of all the minerals that exist in Afghanistan, and it's a fantastic study. And that is something which people can actually take a look at. But China already in 2017 wanted to invest in the largest copper mine in Afghanistan, in Ainak, but due to the security problems and other problems, the project was stopped. So China is intending to help build Afghanistan, but also get its natural resources to benefit all. This is also from the same report where all the minerals, very important rare earth minerals, exist in Afghanistan, so on and so forth. So the Afghani government itself, I mean, Afghanistan joined the Belt and Road already in 2016. It also joined the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, and they have put, this is from the Foreign Ministry think tank, I borrowed their map to show how Afghanistan can actually, all parts of Afghanistan can be connected, but also Afghanistan could be connected to the neighboring countries. So Afghanistan has been willing. There has been also a trilateral meeting of the Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Uzbekistan, because there is a very important railway project which was approved recently from Peshawar, from the Pakistan, where my friend Mr. Hassan Dawood, our previous speaker, is there now, to Kabul and to Dushanbe and to Uzbekistan. So there is ample ideas how to connect Afghanistan to its neighbors, and that would be the way to establish peace and economic cooperation and secure Afghanistan, so we don't have a return to the 1990s and all the problems of terrorism and which we have seen before. So that's, I believe, is a very good moment to learn the lessons from how China developed Xinjiang out of extremism and terrorism, but also how the Belt and Road Initiative can help bridge the gap inside Afghanistan itself, but also for all the nations involved there. And every nation here in Europe and the United States should be welcome to participate in this, because that's the way we can secure international peace and development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Askari. That was very, very helpful and insightful. I will mention that I'm not seeing the in total number of participants or who they are, but I do want to mention that I have had contact and invited the ambassador, Afghanistan's ambassador to Sweden, Abbas Noyan, to partake as at least a listener, a participant. And I did forward to him the statement that you mentioned that was made by the chairwoman of the Schiller Institute on what the opportunities of the changes in Afghanistan mean or could mean for global development. I would also just like to mention that Ambassador, His Excellency, Mr. Deriba Kuma, who is the ambassador from Ethiopia to Sweden, has also been participating. I don't know if he is present as a participant, and perhaps the host can allow them to make some short remarks if they are there and would like to.
Ambassador Kuma is not at the moment.
Okay. And Ambassador Abbas Noyan is not present from Afghanistan?
No, I don't see.
Okay. In any case, we are recording the meeting.
Maybe you should ask the question to Geraci now.
Yeah, well, there's 2 points. One is that we wanted to ask some questions that were formulated for our hosts and guests and officials from Xinjiang. If Professor is having a time issue, we could do it briefly. That we asked the question from. Do you see the question on your screen from Silani?
Yes, but do you want to ask the question to our friends in Xinjiang?
I can do that if Professor Geraci is able to remain for some few more minutes. Otherwise, we could ask him the question that is directed to him first. I don't know what you, he's muted. Can you unmute him, Professor?
Okay. Thank you.
Stephen, okay. Do you want to ask a question to Xinjiang or to Professor Geraci?
I can wait a few minutes, so maybe go first.
Go ahead, Stephen. We don't have much time. Please ask the questions.
Okay, these are some questions for our officials in Xinjiang. In developing agriculture, what new products and specialities have been promoted in Xinjiang? That's one question. Let me ask a series of 3 questions and you can respond to them each one. What kind of new machinery and expertise are you looking for to develop these new agricultural products? And what about forestry? How far has the results of forestation advanced? Are you now building industries exploiting the new forests, and what machinery are you interested in to develop that? And finally, what is the old main industry, and in what fields are you now expanding your industry? Sweden is producing mining machinery as it is the largest mining nation in Europe. How much of its mining machinery industry could be developed in Xinjiang? So those questions I direct towards our guests and friends, co-hosts from Xinjiang.
新疆方面的这个会场，我想刚才您提到的这个问题，就由我们这个新疆维吾尔自治区工业和信息化厅的综合业务部门的负责人严宏斌先生来做一回应。
Well, now an official from the Department of Information Technology will answer your question.
大家好，新疆坚持把基础设施建设作为经济增长和推动高质量发展的重要抓手，高质量推进基础设施、农业和工业领域项目建设。“13+5”时期累计完成了固定资产投资4.1万亿元。
Well, Xinjiang has been paying high attention to the development of technologies in industries and agriculture. And during the 13th five-year plan period, we have already invested 4.1 trillion RMB in the investment in the fixed assets.
建设了一大批交通、水利、能源方面的重大项目，如建成了阿尔泰至富蕴至准东的铁路、格尔木至库尔勒铁路于田机场。
Well, we have developed a number of transportation, water conservancy, and energy infrastructural projects. For example, we have built a railroad from Alatai to Fuyun all the way to Zhendong. We have built a railway which connects Gormu and Kurli. We've also built an airport in Yutian.
还建成了阿尔塔什、卡拉贝利、吉因、苏巴什等18座大中型水库，建成了塔里木3000万吨油田、750千伏骨干电网。
We have built 18 large and medium-sized water reservoirs in Artash, Kalabela, Jiyin, Subash. We have also built a major oil field and a major grid in Talimu.
在工业领域建设了大型煤电、煤化工基地、新能源基地，建设了电信5G 网络。
We have built a large co-production base, energy production base. This is in terms of the industry. We have also built a telecommunication 5G network.
农业领域实现了高标准农田建设、新疆优质棉基地建设、新疆特色林谷基地建设等一大批重大工程。
In terms of agriculture, we have built the high standard agricultural fields, a production base for high standard cotton, and a high standard base for special forestry and fruit.
谢谢。
Thank you.
刚才问题中呢提到的关于新疆的这个森林的恢复率的问题，这个问题呢，我们想请新疆维吾尔自治区乡村振兴局的张代茂先生来做一回答。
Now an official from the Bureau of Rural Revitalization would take the question about the forestry rate in Xinjiang.
大家好，新疆黄木化土地面积占新疆国土面积的60%以上，占全国黄木化面积的40%。新疆沙化土地面积占新疆国土面积的近一半，占全国沙化土地面积的近一半。
Desert or desert-like land area in Xinjiang accounts for about 60% of the territory of this region. That's about equivalent to 40% of China's total, we say, desert land. And so the desert land in area in Xinjiang is roughly about half of its territory, and also the half of the national's total territory.
新疆自治区高度重视防沙治沙工作，不断加大沙化土地综合治理力度。经过社会各界的不懈努力，土地沙化扩张趋势持续减缓，沙区生态环境持续改善，沙尘天气持续减少，实现了从沙地人退到绿地沙退的转变，防沙治沙工作取得了阶段性成果。
Xinjiang attaches great importance to control the process of desertification and has intensified its desert control measures over the years. Thanks to these concerted efforts, that the desertification in Xinjiang has been put has been curbed effectively, and the natural environment, ecosystem and environment in the desert areas that have changed greatly with the sandy and storming days. Number of sandy and storming days was significantly decreased over the years. Actually, we have achieved significant achievements in anti-desertification and desert control.
5年来，累计防沙治沙189万公顷，退耕还林32.8万公顷，森林覆盖率由2015年的4.7%提高到2020年的5.02%，草原植被明显恢复，退化趋势得到遏制。
Over the past 5 years, that we have a total of 1.89 million hectares of desert land being effectively controlled, and about 328,000 hectares of farmland being returned to as forestry, and the forestation rate of this province increased to 5.02% in 2020 from 4.7% in 2015, and with great the conditions in the grasslands has also been greatly improved.
2010至2014年，黄毛化土地面积减少了589.21平方公里，年均减少117.84平方公里。谢谢大家。
From 2010 to 2014, the desert or desert-like land decreased by 589.21 square kilometers, which is about 117.84 square kilometer less annually.
刚才主持人在问题中呢提到的今后跟瑞典方面的一些经贸合作的问题，前面朱勇厅长呢已经在他的这个致辞中呢已经做了一些介绍，这里呢就不再重复。
Regarding, the trade and economic cooperation between Xinjiang and Sweden, actually, DDG, Madame Zhu also actually mentioned some of the future plans for cooperation in the field of trade and economy with Sweden. So we don't actually take further time to elaborate on that.
主持人你好，刚才您说的问题我们做了一个回应，您看还有什么其他的问题？
Mr. Moderator, we've just answered your question. Are there any further questions that you might have for us?
I think that could be.
What is the? There is a question just came in.
If you know, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the question says, what is the strategy of the BRI to counter economical US sanctions to Xinjiang, especially products from produced in Xinjiang? Or, I mean, what is China's policy to encounter these sanctions?
Okay. Is there somebody who will take that question?
Maybe we.
No, they translated it now.
We can go to Professor Geraci in the meantime, maybe.
All right, I will read the question. This is from Mr. Claudio Silani. I want to say hello to Michele Geraci and ask him a question if he is still there.
I'm still here.
I was recently in Rome and spoke with a businessman who has been quite involved in trade and BTOB business with China, and complained first about the aversive climate that has been created in Italy about China, but also about the fact that due to COVID restrictions, it has become very difficult to operate, travel, and organize events. As concerns the latter, do you think this will improve in the future?
So the first question, the climate, let's say I hope it will improve. And I have to say it is thanks to events like this that we are trying to improve the climate vis-a-vis China, because of course we have a geopolitical tension growing. Europe, Claudio, is stuck in the middle. On one hand, I give you here a political answer. On one hand, we need to reaffirm our geopolitical alliance to the European Union, to our European values and Americans. On the other hand, we want to do trade with China. And this was why, of course, we entered the agreement on the Belt and Road, the famous MOU. The problem, Claudio and everyone, is, and this needs to be very clear, the interest of some politicians is not always the interest of the country that they should that they work for. It is not always the interest of the companies that we need to help to do business with. It is not in the interest of the workers. The interest of politicians is to get votes. And in a time where we have experienced a very hard economic situation. GDP in Italy is down 8.9%. Very, very difficult. Of course, we have the COVID. Politicians need to find a monster so that they can be the hero. This is the narrative that we see in movies. If there is no monster, you cannot be hero. And if there is no monster, you have to make one up. And so this is the current situation, and maybe the root why people always find enemies where, the European Union blames Brexit for trade, Italy, some Italian people blame China for the virus, some other blame the American for other issues. It's always trying to blame people outside. Psychologically, it's very difficult for leaders in a country to say it's my fault. So the tension is there, but it is with facts and analysis, like events like this, that we try to tone down the problem. So I hope it will go down, and I assure you, Claudio, and everyone, my effort is exactly aimed at doing this, tone down the geopolitical tension, as I said at the beginning, between academia and the government. Sorry, the other question was, I forgot. Stephen, maybe you can help me remember.
It was who has, it is, if it has become very difficult to operate, travel, and organize events because due to COVID restrictions. And I think you answered that. As concerns the latter, do you think this will improve in the future?
I don't see any immediate improvement. If a businessman wants to travel to China, he needs to, of course, do quarantine anyway. And then there is two paths, either a PU invitation letter from the local government or a Chinese vaccine that would replace the invitation letter. So if you have one, then you can go there. Then there's a problem of flights. There are rules that make it complicated. Fundamentally, we need to understand something. China takes great care to safeguard the stability of the country. And the country comes before individuals, businessmen that want to go to China. I know everyone would like to go tomorrow to China, but with Delta variant, third wave, fourth wave, football celebrations and everything, China is naturally, I would do the same, very careful, just like Japan and other countries in Asia, that to put the society, the need of the society ahead of the need of individuals. Individuals can wait. If some company goes bankrupt or the manager does not do business successfully, Claudio, I'm sorry, it's, how do you say, side effect, byproduct of a bigger goal. So I think a restriction will be there until, this is not a question we need to ask China, until the West, or Europe in our case, gets our act in order and we bring cases down to zero. At that point, whenever that is, then travel restriction will be lifted. So China is in a way a passive recipient of what is going on in Europe. The solution, Claudio, is in our own hands. We cannot ask China to do anything. We have to ask our own government to fix our problems.
Thank you, Professor.
Do we have the answer from Xinjiang on the previous question?
刚才呢，主持人问到一个问题，就是面对西方的制裁，新疆的政府呢要做些什么？其实对于美西方国家呢，一段时间以来，他们以所谓的这个侵犯人权为名，对新疆的包括一些纺织、服装的企业、番茄加工、金融和高科技的一些产业呢，实施无理制裁。
Sure. Mr. Moderator, you have just raised a question about how we can do to respond to US sanctions on China. Well, here I want to say something about your question. Well, until recently, some anti-China forces in the United States and some other Western countries imposed sanctions on China for, in terms of the textile industry, clothing industry, tomato making industry, financial industry, and high-tech industry on groundless charges and grounds.
我们认为呢，这种行径目的就是为了通过打压新疆的这些重要的特定的一些企业和产业，来遏制新疆的稳定发展，剥夺各族群众的生存权、就业权和发展权。
We believe that the US imposed these sanctions on the major and key industries and companies in Xinjiang in order to destabilize Xinjiang and hold back Xinjiang's development so that the people will be deprived of their rights to their life, their employment, and their development.
这种野蛮的行径呢，也是严重违反了国际的贸易的规则，严重破坏了全球的产业链和供应链。
Well, such acts actually seriously violates the international trading rules and disrupt the global supply chain and industrial chain.
新疆维吾尔自治区政府将坚决维护受制裁企业的合法权益。
The People's Government of Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region will firmly protect the interests and rights of these sanctioned companies.
围绕构建国内国际双循环的这种新发展的格局，以市场为导向，以产业的结构调整为抓手。 以政策的扶持为保障，来实施产业、财税、金融政策的组合拳。
Well, we will focus on building a new development paradigm in which the international and domestic relations reinforce each other, as we will take a market-based approach and follow the development of industries and take appropriate policy measures to support our goals so that we can ensure the coordinated response both in terms of industries and financial technologies.
以此来坚决维护国家的产业安全，新疆的产业安全。
In so doing, we will aim to ensure the safety and security in Xinjiang's industries.
我们也将会利用自贸区的安排。 多双边的合作机制。
您继续多说两句。
我们也会利用自贸区的安排，多双边的合作机制，包括引导企业利用跨境电商、海外仓等新业态新模式等，一国一策的来开拓多元化国际市场。
Well, we will use other measures, including the arrangement of a free trade area and the multilateral and bilateral cooperation mechanisms to guide our businesses to set up new forms of industries like the e-commerce, the overseas warehouses, etc.
比如说，我们在加快产业结构的调整方面呢，会持续优化棉花的种植布局，加快棉花、番茄等的这些品种的改良培育。
For example, in terms of the industrial transformation, we will improve the distribution of the plantation of cotton and tomatoes so that the industry related to them will be improved as a whole.
来不断提高新疆的产品的品质和市场竞争力。
And therefore, the products of Xinjiang will become higher standard and more popular and competitive in the international market.
再比如，我们对有关技术和装备也会进行自主的研发，来推进装备的国产化进程。
Another example is that we will also pursue the autonomous development of the related technologies and equipment so as to pursue our own development in these regards.
再比如，我们也会实施积极的援企稳岗促就业的政策，开展营企对接，来改善企业的融资环境。
Another example is that we will also stabilize our employment and secure people's job vacancies so that we can provide more support in this regard and help people to open up their avenues for better employment.
来通过政策的组合来帮扶企业来积极应对。
By taking these integrated policy measures, we can help the enterprises to cope with these difficulties.
我们相信美西方的这些制裁都是废纸一张。
We believe that these sanctions imposed by the United States and some Western countries will only become rubbish paper.
也更重要的是，美西方的这些制裁让新疆的民众也更看清了他们假人权、争霸权的面目。
In addition, these sanctions only lay more bare how these sanctions are to the Xinjiang people. They are actually pursuing the hegemony rather than caring about the human rights conditions in Xinjiang.
也必将激发支持新疆受制裁的产业和企业的热情和动力，来推动这些产业和企业度过眼前的困难，走向成熟强大。
And these sanctions will further only motivate the industries and businesses sanctioned in Xinjiang so that they can brave these adversity and move toward maturity.
对这个问题，我们就回应这么多。
That's my answer to your question, please. So you've got to unmute yourself, so because you are not unmuted, we can't hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're very grateful for the participation of Xinjiang's official representatives. We are grateful for the input from ambassadors and all of the panelists. I think it is clear that for those who wish cooperation and development, the world is an open forum for that through the BRI. And as far as the West is concerned, if they would take the possibility of working together, that would be in their own interest, not what is presently going on. So we will continue to work for cooperation and truthful reporting and development. And we are grateful for everyone's participation. Is there someone who would like to make some last remarks before we close the meeting? And I thank everybody for their participation and look forward to another webinar in the not so distant future. Thank
我这
you.
边还有一个表态，还有一段想法，一段感想。简单的说两句。
Mr. Moderator, the official from Xinjiang still have something to say, which is very brief. So please spare her some time for saying this.
Okay, you're welcome.
我们新疆方面呢，今天非常感谢咱们各位嘉宾的分享，非常有思想、有深度、有活力的这种分享，也特别感谢咱们发言嘉宾，其中的一些发言嘉宾对新疆。对不为谎言、谣言所蒙蔽蛊惑，对新疆的仗义直言。
Well, today, the official from Xinjiang, on behalf of the people of Xinjiang, feel very thankful for the insightful and vibrant talks that we have had in this webinar. We would like also to thank all the participants in the webinar for your impartial talks, despite the lies and rumors about Xinjiang that are rampant around the world at this moment.
正如刚才几位嘉宾说到的，当前的新疆经济社会发展、民生改善都取得了前所未有的成就，天山南北呈现出社会稳定、人民安居乐业的良好局面。
Well, as some guest speakers just mentioned, now Xinjiang has achieved unprecedented achievements in terms of socio-economic development and the improvements of people's lives. And now the whole of Xinjiang is enjoying improvements of people's lives and social stability.
在涉疆问题上，我们始终认为真理在我，真相在我，道义在我，民心在我。
On Xinjiang related issues, we've always believed that we have the truth, we have the facts, we uphold justice, and we have the people's support.
我们相信境外的一些人编造的一些谎言，终将被新疆经济社会发展蒸蒸日上、新疆各族人民生活其乐融融的真相和事实所戳穿。
Well, we believe that the lies peddled by some anti-China forces overseas will sooner or later be debunked by the socio-economic development and harmonious lives of the people.
虽然我们一直致力于向世界来介绍真实客观的新疆，但是面对西方舆论构成的这种信息的隔离墙，我们也会进一步的通过多种方式，包括召开新闻发布会，邀请各位外国嘉宾来参访新疆，以及像召开今天这样的网络视频研讨会等多种形式。来澄清谬误，传递真相。
Well, we have always been committed to present to the world Xinjiang as it is in an impartial and objective way. However, the United States and some Western countries have built a wall to seal us off from the truthful information. And that is why we will continue to use multiple ways to present the truth of Xinjiang, including holding the press conferences, inviting the foreign guests to Xinjiang to take a visit, and hosting such webinars.
我们也真诚的希望国际有识之士呢，能够本着客观公正的原则，来共同抵制和反对那些涉疆谎言、谣言和虚假信息。
We also hope that fair-minded people in the world will also take an objective and impartial attitude so that we will work together to resist and oppose those lies and rumors and disinformation cooked up by the United States and some Western countries.
当然，最后我们也非常热情的欢迎刚才咱们诸位嘉宾能够再来新疆，新疆欢迎你们。
Last but not least, I wish to extend my warm welcome to all of you to come to Xinjiang to take a look at it. And you are more than welcome to come to Xinjiang.
谢谢。
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Zhu. We look forward to a lot of future cooperation with you in Xinjiang. This is not the last one, but many times we will continue to make sure that the true picture will get out in the West, despite the control of the present media operations that we are unfortunately forced to meet with a smaller group at the moment, but it will go forward. So we look forward to working with you in the future, and we wish you all the best in your continued efforts for the people of Xinjiang and China to go forward with development in the Belt and Road. And I thank everybody for the wonderfully successful seminar today. And we will be back in the not so distant future for more such dialogues and presentations. So I thank you for your participation.